We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We will first have the invocation done by Andrew Pasmat and the Pledge of Allegiance done by Councilman Steve Herford. Will you guys please rise and remove your hats, please?
Heavenly Father, most righteous and holy, we give thanks to you for all your heavenly and earthly creations. We petition you this evening on behalf of all those who put faith in your name and ask that you share your Holy Spirit with those who are in need, distress, and seek your help, bringing them comfort and peace. We ask that you help direct our steps so that our works always prove righteous in your sight. Help us to exercise patience, compassion, brotherly love, and mercy toward one another. We ask that you help our leaders to make the difficult decisions each day and give them the wisdom to guide this community and do what is right in your eyes. Father, we know we fall short of your glory, and there are times when we lose our way. We ask that you grant us your Holy Spirit to guide us each day so we may walk worthily in your presence. May your Spirit bring peace and love to all who call upon your name, and may all honor, glory, and blessings of the heavens and earth be yours forever. Amen.
Please join with me in our pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Toohey.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanderson. Councilmember Herford.
Here.
Councilmember Sotelo.
Here.
Councilmember Sykes.
Here. Mayor Pro Tem Sanderson will be joining us shortly. If we can drop down to report out of closed session, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect that the City Council recessed into closed session for tonight's special meeting with all four members that are present at this point in time. Present, Mayor Pro Tem Sanderson was absent. The two items that were discussed in closed session were announced prior to recessing into closed session, and my report is as follows. City Council received a briefing on the public employment matter of the city manager. There was no action taken and nothing to report. Under conference with legal counsel existing litigation, the City Council received a briefing from the City Attorney's Office with respect to the one matter of the West Covina Improvement Association versus City of West Covina, and again, there was no action taken and nothing to report. It's appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Changes to the agenda, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, two items. First of all, on number 9, dealing with Athens, there was a listing of the various groups that they support that's been distributed to the council, and I believe it's also available to the audience. And then number 6 on the agenda, dealing with the MOU at Foothill. Mr. Freeland has a brief update on that because he had a discussion with Westfield on the supplemental report. And since it's on the consent calendar, I thought he'd just give you a brief update what that includes.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, City Council. Under item number 6, the Foothill Transit Center and Park and Ride Facility, the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, there's been some questions as to this being the final approval of the project. And this is just a 3-party agreement that says that both Westfield, Foothill Transit, and the City of West Covina have identified a location that they believe will work, but there's several obstacles that have to be overcome in order to make this move forward. Even though Westfield has given tentative approval that this site location makes sense to them, there may be amendments to the MOU as we move forward in order to get the necessary approvals that they need from the major tenants there at their facility in order to make sure that that they have those approvals and that the design and the layout work out for Westfield and the rest of the group. So this is still just a very tentative beginning to move forward on this park and ride facility, but it's a big achievement, and it should be complimented both the city, Foothill Transit, and Westfield to try to find a solution to a need in the community that's been had for many years.
Mr. Mayor, I did have a question on the MOU. Hey, Chris, on page 15 of the MOU, it lists the term as expiring or terminating on June 30th, 2013, yet in the staff report it says the term will terminate on June 30th, 2015. Do you have an answer for that?
I do. What had happened is when this has been an agreement that's been in discussion for the last 2 years, and in the MOU, this is the version that just says that the agreement was in 2013. No, it would take 2 years. So all the parties agreed to go through 2015, unless we want to either extend it or cut it shorter. So at mutual agreement.
Okay.
Any other questions? Andy?
That concludes our changes.
No problem. Drop down the presentation. If we can have our Public Works Director, Shannon Yahtzee, come forward. This is a proclamation for America Recycles Day. Shannon, this is to proclaim the City of West Covina is going to celebrate America Recycles Day on November 10th, 2012. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what this is all about?
Thank you, Mayor. And we just wanted to bring to everybody's attention how important it is to recycle. And the city is putting on a lot of programs helping the community to do that, educating the community. And on average now, the city is recycling over 38,000 tons of materials a year and diverting that from landfills, recycling that for other uses. I also just received some statistics I wanted to share with you. They're pretty impressive, and this is in regards to our hazardous waste roundup that we hold once a year at the city yard. And these materials also get diverted from landfills, and many of them are also recycled, such as oil and that type of thing. I just want to read those statistics to you. Over the last 10 years, we've collected and recycled over 32,000 gallons of used oil, 170,000 gallons of paint, 24,000 dry cell batteries, 78,000 gallons of miscellaneous waste, and 225,000 pounds of e-waste. So I just wanted to, remind everybody to do what you can to recycle. It helps out all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. If we can have the Roland Unified School District Chief of Police, Don Fernald, come down, and our honoree in the Walk of Fame, one of the honorees into our Walk of Fame, Dr. David Alfaro. He actually looks like he still could play quarterback at West Covina High like he did many years ago. This is a proclamation. You ready? His dad was in Hollywood, and he's trying to go there too. I understand. You're getting a later start than your dad, by the way. But this is for the City of West Covina to proclaim, this is very difficult to say fast, a Red Ribbon Week. We used to say Red Ribbon Rally, and that got very confusing. Red Ribbon Week on October 23rd through the 31st. Why don't you tell us about what you're doing, the pancake breakfast coming up?
What we're going to have this coming Saturday at West Covina High School, behind the gym on the blacktop, is we will have our 23rd annual Red Ribbon Rally, which brings the city of West Covina together to help promote Drug Awareness Week, which Nancy Reagan brought to light with the Say No to Drugs. And with the Rotary Clubs of West Covina, both of them, the Sunrise and the Lunch, we have come together and helped bring the city together to help educate our school children in the hazards of drug use and to say no to drugs. And so we cook up some pancakes, we bring out some orange juice, milk, coffee, we bring out some entertainment, we bring the fire department, the police department, and many other aspects of our city together so that we can make a festive atmosphere and teach these young people to say no. And that really comes down. Yes. One of the things that we have always been aware of in our group is that the reason why Red Ribbon came around was the tragic death of DE agent Enrique Kiki Camarena back in the mid-'80s. His family and friends after his death wanted to do something special, and so they started putting together red ribbons, and then with Nancy Reagan's Say No to Drug, they started National Red Ribbon Week. And 23 years ago, Dr. Tennant, the West Covina Rotary Club, started their drug awareness for our school kids, and it has blossomed into this event. One of the great things that has happened is that through these two people, have gotten involved with the Camarena Foundation and the Camarena family, and so special guest starting 2 years ago was Kiki Jr. Came to our event, and then now Mika Camarena, Kiki's wife, shows up to our event too, and it's just been an absolute blessing to have them. They truly enjoy our event and what we do for the children of our community, and so we're honored to have them come again this year, and it's just a great event. We love putting it on.
When is the pancake breakfast?
Pancakes start 7:30 in the morning. We will be there early to set up, and 7:30 morning this Saturday, October 20th. We'll finish up about 11:30. It's Luann Arredondo and Chief Don Fernald. Thank you. Good. All right, there you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
And also, if you can join us on November 10th, we're going to be inducting Dave as one of the honorees. He was an academic All-American quarterback in college, and we're going to be inducting him in our Walk of Fame. Congratulations, Dave. Next, if we can call up Dr. Catherine Nichols, who's here to make a presentation on behalf of Covina Valley Unified School District. Dr. Nichols.
Hi, it's really good to be here this evening and to chat a little bit about Covina Valley Unified, and to talk to you, give you just a little bit of an update on what we're doing in the school district. We're really focused on our students, and we have three primary goals, and that's to increase student achievement, close the achievement gap, and create a four-year college-going culture. Because our belief is that as students leave our schools, they're going to need the skills necessary to be successful, and whether or not they actually go to a four-year college, if they've had the most rigorous curriculum while they're in our schools, it'll help them in their career paths. And so truly in Covina Valley Unified, we are focused on creating extraordinary futures, but really knowing that the demands of the future incorporate having the kids have critical problem-solving skills when they leave us. Last year, we're really proud that we were named 6th in the state for overall school performance and closing the achievement gap by Education Trust West. We also have a number of California distinguished schools, and National Merit Scholars graduate from our high schools annually. And so we're focused about the academics, but we're also focused on what can we do to integrate the best in terms of facilities and technology into our educational programs so that our facilities match our educational programs. And so we've recently opened a Business and Entrepreneurship Academy at Covina High School, and we have crafted partnerships with higher education, University of Laverne, as well as business partners, Kaiser Federal Bank, who have donated iPads to the schools, but also working in partnership to create intern opportunities for the students. We were able to revamp a wing of our high school using bond money and QZAB money to bring the technology in and to upgrade the schools so we can support the educational programs. There you go. Oh, thank you. At Northview High School, we've created an Arts and Entertainment Academy where students who are interested in film and video making and TV journalism will be able to take pathways of courses to prepare them for that kind of a future. They can take video editing, and again, we've partnered with higher education, with University of Laverne, where the students can take college-level classes at high school, get college credit, and with Mount SAC as well. Again, partnering with business community members so that students have opportunities to do interns. We were able to provide state-of-the-art equipment equivalent to what small TV studios would have for our students. And we were able to do that through our bond money and CubeSat money at work for our kids. At South Hills High School, we have an information technology academy focused on computer science and engineering, pre-engineering. We actually have Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering program that begins at the high school level with an entree into four-year colleges, in this case Cal Poly Pomona, where there's actually a course sequence where the kids get the background information to become engineers through the courses at South Hills High and then move on to the college level. So we're really proud of those, and we're able to create a new building to house that academy, and again to provide the technology through our bonds and our CUSABs. Over at Fair Valley High School, we're creating a trade center for students who are interested in the trades. We have welding, carpentry, heating and air conditioning, and electrical. We're set to break ground in January or February on that building. And again, merging students' interests and talents with the future and being able to do that through support of community members. We know we can't do it alone. We're part of a larger community. We're part of the Rotaries and the Sunrise Rotaries, Lions Club, PTA, Kiwanis, Assistance Leagues. However, we do know because of the strength of our communities and the past two bond measures that have been passed for Covina Valley Unified students, we have been able to augment our instructional program and have our instructional programs match the facility needs that we have. However, we've expired our funds, and because of the fiscal challenges at the state level, we've continued to have cuts in our funding. The last 4 years, we've been cut $7.4 million annually, and we don't have additional funds to go back in to do additional repairs in our schools. We've walked our campuses, we've talked to our stakeholders, we know that there's additional roofing that needs to be done, plumbing, security, HVAC systems. We know we have issues with our athletic fields that need to be upgraded in our pools. We need more access to technology and science to really prepare the kids in the best way possible, and also focusing on drama and music and the arts. We talked to our Board of Education, and our Board of Education decided that now is the time to go out and to see whether our public was interested in going out for another bond, because costs continue to rise and the needs continue to stay steady. So we did go out and we did a survey of our community and really determined that there's a whole litany of things that we need to do with regard to the roofs, the plumbing, the technology, the libraries, the cafeterias. We've done tremendous work. These are remaining projects that still need to be done. Based on those results, we had 65% of the voters support going out for an additional bond. And so the voters believe that strong schools mean strong communities, mean better property values. And so based on this information, knowing that the funds stay in the school district, that there would be a bond oversight committee established to ensure the funds are spent properly, and that there was a solid baseline of support. We are going out for Measure CC. It is on the November ballot, and really it's truly to allow us to create the extraordinary futures for our students and to continue to upgrade our facilities to match the educational programs that we're providing for our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Is there any questions council has of Dr. Nichols, the superintendent from Covina Valley? Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you. I'll leave it here. Leave the mic here. Here.
Okay, we drop down to oral communications. On our agenda, we have approximately 35-plus cards, so it's going to be a fun night. Our first speaker today is John Hughes, followed by Elisa Alicia Orderan. John?
Good evening, members of the council, staff, members of the audience. Want to congratulate the people on the Red Ribbon Rally. I know they have pancakes, but unfortunately I can't eat them this year because I'm now on a gluten-free diet. No wheat, no rye. It's a pain in the neck. Anyway, I'm here tonight to talk about Athens and the new proposal. You know, I've lived in the city for over 50 years, raised my family here, and the service that I've had from Athens has been the best. I've dealt with them ever since they start servicing here in West Covina. They've always cared about the community. The service has been the greatest. Even when we wanted extra service, they were there. Not only that, they cared about this community. When I was chairman of the first Rose Float Committee, Athens was there, and every year after, running the Muscular Dystrophy Association fundraisers, including our 4th of July event. Athens has been there. They care about the community. They even got me extra sponsors for the event. This has been the biggest event in the city of West Covina. Over 20,000 people, I believe, attended our event. What better organization can you have serving our trash that not only care about good service, but care about our community? They're always there. The offer that they gave that I read in the paper is just outstanding. Not only to give a lot of money to the city to help us in our financial crisis, but also to care about future events, such as our 4th of July. They would be sponsoring it and sponsoring other events. So I urge you all to really consider about carrying forward the offer that Athens has given to this community. You couldn't find a better community. I urge you to vote in favor of this. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, John. Alicia? And then Andy Lacero is on deck. Andy?
Good evening. I'm here to support Athens. I've been living in West Covina for 10 years.
Can you pull the mic a little closer?
Okay, I've been living in West Covina for more than 10 years. I have never had an issue with them. Excellent service. Love my driver. I believe they're willing to give us some type of money for the police department, which I don't know what's the deal with the police department, but for what I hear, they wanted to outsource our police department and go with the sheriff. And I strongly believe that we should keep our police department. So if they're willing to give us money to keep our police department that we need in West Covina, that will be great for the community. So I'm just here to support Athens. Great service. I love my driver. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, and it doesn't have a last name. I don't believe Cassandra is next. Cassandra?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak here. Just wanted to say that I've been a resident since 1995. Always had Athens services servicing my home, and I never had an issue with them. Had extra items to pick up and called them up. They've come over and picked it up with no issues, no problems whatsoever. Hats off to the drivers. Well, I recognize some of those drivers. Excellent drivers, very professional. Trash, I've seen it fall on the street. Driver gets out and sweeps it and picks it up. I've seen other companies in other areas from my brother. He lives out in Fontana, actually, and they have mess and fall in the street, and now they don't get out and pick it up. So just want to say hopefully you guys will consider Athens again, and I'd like to see them carry on the service in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassandra? Is there a Cassandra that lives on Fernwood? I'll put that to the side. Ruby? Ruby? Maria Aguirre, and Gaylord Patton is on deck.
Hello, everyone. I'm a resident of West Covina. I've lived there for 18 years, and I'm here tonight to express my support for Athens services. My kids love watching the Athens drivers or the Athens trucks drive down our street and wait outside the front door to wave to the driver. The best part is that the drivers have always been very polite and courteous, and especially when they wave back, that just makes their day. To me, that is just great customer service. And I'm sorry, a company that, I feel cares about our community and wants or makes donations to family-oriented city programs is okay with me. Please support the Athens proposal for West Covina, the residents, and my kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Gaylord Patton. And Roseanne Butler is next.
My take is a little bit different than what you've heard. I'm opposed to the long-term Athens contract. In fact, it's mainly based upon principle rather than based upon the service of the company. I have difficulty when my elected officials enter into a contract that ends up costing me more money than may be able to get the same services from other vendors. I have a son that lives in Littleton, Colorado, a very eco-sensitive community. On his street, once a week, there are 3 different trash companies that come down his street. I know that there would be opposition with all the trucks that drive down the street, but if we're concerned about trucks, maybe we need to find some way to get the trucks from driving down the freeway through West Covina so that we don't have the pollution from those trucks, but that's another matter. But we have a problem because his cost is about 40% less than what I'm currently paying for my trash pickup. It's about the same that is being currently paid to another vendor of these services in Hacienda Heights. Now, I understand that there is money that comes to the council from Athens. I consider that a tax. I know that it's called by the city a franchise fee. I don't consider it a franchise fee. The only difference between the tax and the franchise fee is who's gathering it. They gather it for you and then give it to you out of my pocket. I consider that a tax. I've lived in this city for 41 years. I plan on staying here for a while, but I have difficulty when, as a retired individual on a fixed income, that now I expect that there will be increases. I'd like to see some of this come to an end. I know that balancing budgets is difficult. It's difficult for me. With all respect to our previous speaker and her lovely presentation about Covina Valley, we can't borrow ourselves rich and we can't spend ourselves out of debt. We have to borrow money. When money goes down, cost must go down. Mine do in my home. I would ask the City Council, if possible, not to enter into any long-term contract with Athens, but open it to a free market system and let the citizenry of this community act for themselves and let other trash companies have the opportunity to serve this community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butler, and then Valerie Mergel.
Hi, good evening. I've lived in the city, my name is Rosina, and I've lived in the city of West Covina for the past 40 years. In all the years Athens Services has provided trash services for me, I've never had a problem. I feel like the rates are reasonable and for the service they provide. Anytime I have contracted the customer service line with a question, I am always helped by a friendly, knowledgeable customer service representative. I feel the city should consider approving the proposal for Athens is offering.
Thank you. Valerie and Herb Redholz is on deck.
Good evening. My name is Valerie. I've lived in West Covina my entire life. I'm a graduate of West Covina High School. I'm here to talk about Athens services. Over the years, I've watched Athens participate in countless city and community events. They've given away free compost at Earth Day events, provided event boxes, and sponsored many football, basketball, and Little League teams in the city. They're a community partner, and that's rare to see in today's financial times. Athens is proposing to offer the city $2 million to help our city finances and make annual donations to help out our community organizations. I'm sure Athens will continue to participate in community activities and be a great partner to the city. Please consider approving the proposal that Athens is offering. Thank you.
Thank you. Herb Redholz, then Dennis Chapetta.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Toohey and council members. You know, for those of us that regularly attend these meetings, for the last several months, the subject of Athens services and the Evergreen contract has been discussed at length. And part of that is Councilmember Sykes, who brought it forward to review the contract. And being a smart company, Athens, this is now on the agenda, so Athens has the opportunity to come forward and amend the contract or propose a new contract. And all the time this discussion's been going on, all the meetings I've attended, not a single individual has come up here and had a complaint or issue with their service. And they've had ample opportunity to do so. Athens has been in West Covina for 20 years, and they have shown to be a good community partner with the city. When I saw this story online, and then I read it again in the newspaper the following day, it occurred to me that even though I'm not a really strong fan or a proponent of the Evergreen contract, sometimes you have to weigh the pros and the cons. And what threw me to support this extension is, A, they're smart business people. They are willing to and will, within 5 days of the execution of the contract, give the city $2 million to go into the general fund. This is money that the city desperately needs. The fact that over the life of the contract, they will also donate $100,000 for community activities, not the least of which is $50,000 to go to the SWAT team in the police department, $30,000 to go to support the 4th of July celebration, and $20,000 for the summer concerts. These are activities that the residents can enjoy, and these are activities that the city will not have to worry about for the life of the contract as far as paying for it. So I think that the best contracts are the ones where it's a win-win for both parties. And I believe this contract fills that bill. If I were sitting where you guys are sitting, I would be supporting this tonight to go forward. We'll continue the good service, continue their participation in the city as a good neighbor and a good corporate partner. The city needs those kinds of relationships with the businesses, especially when it's in the interest of all the residents. And I think that going forward, this will be a good situation. So I would urge you to go ahead and support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis Chapetta and Monica from Greater Western is on deck.
Well, Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm Dennis Chapetta, Executive Vice President of Athens Services. With me this evening are many of our managers that overlook the contract here in West Covina, as well as our fetal operation group. I want you to notice our drivers sitting here. Many people have made comments about them. I receive comments about them all the time. Some of those drivers have been here 35 years with our company. One guy 29 years, another guy over 30 years over there. As I summarized in our proposal letter last week, we provide excellent services and have assisted the city with state-mandated compliance and are poised for the future when Puente Hills landfill closes. Let me go into some detail. Athens Material Recovery Facility, as you are aware, has been leading the way in recycling by operating the highest diverting material recovery facility for mixed waste processing in the state of California. Use of this facility for all of West Covina's waste stream has indeed proven effective, as the city is in compliance with AB 939 and currently at 69% diversion. But now, guess what? There are new challenges on the horizon. With Puente Hills landfill closure in October of 2013 and new state recycling mandates, once again, Athens has been planning for the closure for years, and we've invested very heavily to have solutions. Let's review the following. Puente Hills landfill closure. In October of 2013 is going to mark a whole new landscape for recycling and waste programs throughout Southern California. As the largest landfill in the nation, Puente Hills will be closing its doors forever. This is significant as Puente Hills is run as publicly by the 88 cities in Los Angeles County, and in the future all landfills will be private, profit-motivated operators. Talk about the yard waste in West Covina. It's the single largest item of landfill diversion currently, and that program is going to cease. The alternate daily cover program will cease in October of 2013. Athens is prepared to keep the city in compliance with AB 939 as we purchased and operate American Organics out in Victorville. This facility can compost the yard waste collected in West Covina, and we're also testing organic composting in a pilot program here in West Covina for even higher diversions when the landfill closes. Now listen, we could easily sell the capacity of that facility tomorrow if we choose. However, due to our long-term relationships with our cities, we operate this facility on our franchise city's behalf, and we're reserving space for West Covina so you can continue to be in compliance. We have an Irwindale facility that's proposed. It's in the works. It'll complement our existing material recovery facility with both added capacity and new processes to get more out of the waste stream. Let's talk about landfill capacity. And incidentally, Cal Recycle is going to make that goal 75% in the year 2020. Athens has been testing various landfill locations, and we will have in place next year a long-term contract for ultimate disposal, taking into consideration the distance to the site. We've tested landfills in Los Angeles, Riverside, Orange, and Ventura counties at this point. The various landfills are very hungry for our waste. We have more waste than anyone in Southern California to bring to these landfills. We'll lock into a rate with a known escalator, and our cities are going to benefit for that. Talk now about legislative mandates. AB 341. Cities all over California are struggling with just how to comply with AB 341. It's mandatory recycling for commercial businesses and multifamily complexes. The results for most cities have been higher costs, inconvenient source-separated recycling programs, and increased carbon footprint as several trucks are going into each customer. Again, the city of West Covina has benefited from Athens MRF processing already in place because the city is in compliance. That's being accomplished through the existing recycling model that we have, and it's resulted in no additional sticker shock to the ratepayers. Now on to the Athens proposal. Our offer is $2 million up front and $100,000 a year to be used for the 4th of July fireworks show, the summer concert series, and the SWAT team. And this is in line with our past philanthropic efforts in the city. The residents have and will continue to benefit from Athens giving. Not only is our service outstanding, but the residents pay about the cost of a Snicker bars per day for weekly collection of refuse and recycling. In my estimation, if you total up all the fees, the city is going to benefit by approximately $47 million over the next 25 years in 2012 dollars, making this a win-win, as the last speaker had indicated. I respectfully ask for your support this evening. Thank you, council members and mayor.
Thank you. Monica and John Solis is on deck. Monica.
Good evening, Mayor Tui and fellow council members. My name is Monica. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater West Covina Business Association. Tonight, I would like to speak regarding the extension of the contract for Athens. I would strongly urge the City Council to move forward with granting Athens the contract extension as proposed. Athens has been a great supporter of the city and community events. I believe that the continued relationship between Athens and the City of West Covina will really benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you. John Solis and Ed Brubaker is on deck.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Tui and staff. My name is John Solis. I've been a resident of West Covina for 35 years. When I first read the article about Athens in the San Gabriel Tribune yesterday, it provoked negative thoughts. I read 25 years. Goodness. This morning I sat in front of my computer and I printed a page of my negative thoughts. Then I went to the West Covina website and I pulled Athens' proposal. I read the proposal. It is not a bad proposal. I looked at it. I said, you know, it's a good business plan. They, as Mr. Chapiato said, they look to the future. Our current landfill diversion rate mandated by the state is 50%. They've achieved 69%. And as he stated, in the year 2020, it's going to go up to 75%. They don't see a problem with that. So as I was reading the proposal, I said, you know, this is a pretty good plan. As he mentioned about the yard waste, that they purchased a facility in Victorville to continue with the yard waste. The thing that I did not see was a schedule of rates for the 25 years. I know that Mr. Redholt said there's been a lot of discussions about Athens over the months. None of it has been on service. The driver that picks up my trash is a very congenial gentleman. He waves at me when I see him. He's always been very, very nice. In fact, he even helps one of my neighbors by stopping when she's out there and making sure that her trash is picked up. Service is not the problem. It's been the rates. I also saw that your staff pulled rates for the various cities around San Gabriel. And to my surprise, it looks like West Covina is number 4 from the bottom. There's 11 cities here, and we're from the bottom. We're among the lowest. That surprised me. However, on the commercial side, of the 12 throughout the San Gabriel Valley, we are number 4 at a high rate. And we're supposed to be a business-friendly city. So it hasn't been about Athens services per se. It's been about the rates. And then I asked myself, well, why now? Why an additional 13 years extension today? Why? That was one of the questions I could not answer. So my recommendation to the City Council is to ask Athens for a 30-day extension on their proposal. During that time, put together a bid proposal, go out to other trash agencies, service companies, put your critics to bed on those that criticize you for not having a multi-bid proposal going out there. The lowest bidder may not necessarily be the best. Go and get the same, look at the other trash companies that I'm almost running out of time, and compare. And I think Athens will probably come out best among. I also have one other item, non-agenda item. May I speak to it? Okay. I have less than a minute. Approximately a week and a half ago, I received a letter in the mail with the envelope containing our city's logo. This was in reference to the veterans. Inside was a letter on city stationery from the office of the mayor, thanking me for my grandson's service to our country as a member of the United States military. My grandson is a Navy hospital corpsman, also known as a medic in other branches of the service. My grandson served 1 year in Afghanistan, attached to a Marine battalion from Camp Pendleton. I included my grandson's name in our Blue Star program when it was active. The letter further stated that Covina Rotary is hosting a Field of Valor in November, hosting 2,000 full-size American flags on 8-foot poles dedicated to the memory of current military and past veterans. It further stated that we would love to have everyone in our Blue Star program be honored with a flag, and that the cost of adopting a flag is $35. Of course, I will
Mr. Mayor,
support.
you're seated there 5 minutes.
Of course, I will support the program. But as I read the letter, I remembered the passage in the Bible, Mark chapter 6, verse 4. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, among his own kin, and in his own house. So, Mayor Toohey, why don't we do something for our own Veterans Memorial here, where we haven't been able to attract enough funds to build that memorial? Thank you. And also, can we reinstate the Blue Star program?
Thank you.
Thank you for your
John.
time.
Ed Brubaker and Lasario.
Mayor, council members, Athens is proposing a 25-year contract. That's locking yourself in to 25 years. You're not getting the best bid, period. Somebody down the line somewhere could say, hey, you know, our trash business is much better than theirs, and at a lower rate. When you do it for 25 years, you locked yourself in. You don't know what's going to happen in 25 years, period. Montebello got themselves into trouble, Monterey Park, and you people should look at this strongly and say, hey, wait a minute. You know, 25 years is 25 years. That's a long time. $2 million is nice in your general fund, which would help probably quite a bit, and $100,000 a year, great. But still, what you're locking yourself into. It's, you know, you don't know what's going to happen 5 or 10, 15 or 20 years from now, or 25. That's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. You know, you should. I mean, when this man's trying to tell you how great a job they do, what they probably do. But for 25 years, that's a little bit ridiculous. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Lasario and Guadalupe on deck.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Lázaro Ruelas y yo tengo con el servicio de Athens de 1994 y he tenido muy buen servicio y no me gustaría seguir con ellos. Gracias.
We have to be careful who does it. It has to be done through a legal process. Andy, if you want to. I'm just saying, John, I'm sorry about that, but you have to make sure it's a direct translation that can get cities into troubles.
I think, in short, he's happy with the service that Athens has been providing.
No problem. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Guadalupe, and I'm living in West Covina for more than 10 years, and I'm happy with the service they provide me. Every time that I have extra trash, I just call them, and they just go and pick it up. I don't have no problem with that, and I would like to continue with the same service. Just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Fleck, then Bruce Leinbach. Irene? I know she was here some. Oh, there she is.
Good evening. This isn't about the service of Athens. It's about the contract. And there's something, to me, very uncomfortable about the contract and very disturbing. I think 25 years, not that it's such a long time, but that it's automatically renewed every year for 25 years unless it's specifically canceled. And if it is canceled, then it still goes on for 25 years. That's rather overpowering to me. And it seems that it's a graphic example of a no-way out situation. The $2 million is certainly a lot for our needed situation, our situation in need. But I think it's like a buyout. It has huge strings attached that concern me greatly. And so does the $100,000 a year for the community projects. That feels to me, and someone mentioned a tax, and that's exactly what it sort of felt like to me. I felt like the city is quietly putting a tax on me by having our Athens collection with higher rates, and then something's coming back. And I just can't help but feel that it seems like a kickback. And again, nothing complaining about the service, but when you're locked in for so long, you don't have any choices to make at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irene. Bruce Leinbach and Mark Smith on deck. We have around 18 more to go.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk about the subject as far as Athens goes. I mean, I have no objection to the service or whatever. What bugs me the most is the 25-year contract. And I think John Solis had a good idea, and I feel like we should put more study into it before we make a decision. I feel like we're almost jumping into it. All of a sudden, we're tied down to for 25 years, and I'm very uncomfortable with it. So I'm opposed for it for those reasons. Also, I want to emphasize another topic. Monumental Day is right around the corner. And every 4 years, we have a presidential election. And you know, we have a presidential election. I guess it's going to be at the same time we have a city council meeting. And I remember 4 years ago, when they brought this topic up, it was something about, if I can't remember, about the towing away cars and if you're illegally parked, and this subject was real controversial. It was brought up at the city council meeting, and there wasn't an empty seat here. So, to me, presidential election is a special day. Meetings are canceled for various things, like August. They have that night out in the town where you go to different neighborhoods. And I just think it's too important. Here we are, we're seeing history being made. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, one thing I tell you, everybody wants to know what's happening. Why do we have to be here at the city council meeting? Why can't we delay that city council meeting to the next day, or Wednesday, or cancel it completely? I just think it's paramount importance that people be able to see the election results coming in. 7 o'clock here is 10 o'clock Eastern time. But you know, 10 o'clock Eastern time, many states are going to have their polls coming in. You're going to be making estimates. I remember last year when we had or 4 years ago, I think they made the announcement of the winner, Obama, at about 8 o'clock. But I think it's of paramount importance. I mean, we want to watch history made. I feel we should cancel this meeting or move it to another date. We do it for a lot of other things, and this is a real historic day, and there's going to be a close election. And I remember last time the city council talked about it, oh yeah, we shouldn't do that or whatever, 4 years ago. Shelley Sanderson said, yeah, maybe we should do something next time. Nothing happened. But I urge you to cancel this meeting, move it to another day, so the citizens can appreciate their democracy and watch the election of the next president. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Mark Smith's on deck, or speaking now. But Bruce, on that, I totally agree with you, but the problem we get in no matter what we do sometimes, then people have said before that we're having a meeting right before Thanksgiving, and then we have meetings. Unfortunately, there's some legal things we sometimes have to do when it falls. Today we're having a debate that we're not watching. You know, the council was watching some of it. It's going on. It may have ended by now, but that's just some of the things. But I have no problem, obviously, not having the meeting. But thank you, Bruce. Mark Smith, sorry about that.
Good evening. Mark Smith here. This is America. This is not North Korea. This is not China. This is not Russia. When you put your bid out, you put a bid out, and honest companies will present their bids because we're going to furnish a product to honest citizens. I've heard it many times before that Athens was the only player in town. Well, that's not quite true. Waste Management, Burtech, Anaheim Disposal, Republic Service, CVT Facilities, Enterprise, Baylor Company, they all have their own MRF stations and transfer stations. That's going to be the buzzword there, transfer stations, because they're going to move the materials out to the desert. They're going to exit the state of California, if not closer to the borders if they already are now. And what some people fail to understand, Athens makes money on all the recycled items that go through their birth stations. They pay for themselves. They also make a note in their brochure here that there's a recovery station that will take place there in Irwindale. Well, that's in litigation right now. And it turns out Waste Management has just been freed by a lawsuit. The judge has ruled on it that they can build there, and they have been building their facility in Azusa. So all is good there. Now, I'm from Glendora, so I'll have to be nice about this. We had to put up with Athens' promises and whatnot, but remember, you get what you pay for, and they're working for a salary. There was a state law in 2005 encouraging waste companies, transfer companies that use diesel trucks to change over to CNG. Well, during that time, we were in Glendora assured that we were going to be able to have it out for bid. All of a sudden, lo and behold, something was done behind the counter, shall we say, behind the scenes, and an emergency declaration was declared by our city council in Boomba. Athens was awarded the contract. They, at that time, did not have any CNG-powered vehicles. Now, it's been shown, they're going to give you one. And Glendora, by the way, this is 2012, has one. That's a lot of years, and they've made a few $1 million off that contract. Now, they're going to be putting money out for these vehicles, but they also get it back on the backside, state and federal loans that come back to them. Because the particulates in diesel fuel emissions are one of the most hazardous, cancer-wise, to men, women, children throughout the state of California. And you are, and we are, in a bowl. As Los Angeles used to be known by the American Indians, it was a bowl. It was known as a valley of smoke. Well, the particulates of diesel fuel emissions are just that, but they're unseen. So that should be taken into consideration. The $2 million you'll be receiving will be, and then $100,000 you'll be receiving for the life of this contract will diminish rapidly. Somebody made a comment about a Hershey or Milky Way bar. I remember when they looked like a baseball bat and they were 5 cents. Now you pay $1 and they look like the little handout ones you give for Halloween. So remember, please consider this. You, the citizens, are in the driver's seat here. You can demand as much as you want. They want your work. They want you. They need it. And they can always use your contract to leverage for bank loans and so forth at institutions that will lend that money to them. So please consider this, that Monterey Park had to go into a legal turmoil because the residents, the city council wanted the residents to be able to vote on it. Not 5 people at all. And it turns out Athens, through the political machinery, had supported to oppose it. They pulled a know-nothing person out of the woods, a dentist, I believe. He was a front man, and their political machine was in full gear. Now, some of you here, and I in Glendora, have felt the wrath of that political machine. So there's money to be made and bodies to be put on the side of the road. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. John Shoemaker and Blanca Vinzer next.
When I first read this, I said, no doubt that it's going to go through. Because basically what's happened is something nice and shiny is being waved in front of people, and they're going, gimme, gimme, gimme. You know, an example is like school bonds. We're going to borrow 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars and put in new technology. You're going to pay for it for the next 30, 40, 50 years, and the technology is outdated 2 years from now. I don't know how many people here buy a car, and 30 years from now they're still paying for the car, even though they've gone somewhere else. Athens, they are smart business people. Think about what they're doing. They're coming to the city and saying, we're going to give you $2 million to guarantee us at least $250 million in revenue. I'm going to give you $2 million to do that. Sounds like a good deal to me if I'm on the business side of it. They also say, here's a little shiny thing we're going to put in front of you. We're going to give you $100,000 a year until a different city council says, you know, I think I want to stop this in 25 years. Then we're not going to give you any more money. Then we're not going to give you any more money. Even though they're going to be guaranteed that money for the next 25 years. Now, we all know, like I said, they're good business people. I have no complaints with their service whatsoever. They've done very well. But I also know that you can go back in time that there were a lot of companies 25 years ago were great. They're not anymore. I look at the management of Athens, kind of my age, 25 years, they're probably not going to be running the company anymore. Who's to say the replacements are going to be as good? Who's to say they don't sell out to somebody else who isn't as good? All the guarantees are with the citizens saying, we have to give you this money, but none of the guarantees is on their side. Their service falls apart tomorrow because their leadership changes, economic conditions change, whatever the case may be. We're stuck. We're stuck. And if you guys decide next week, because of the gross changes that occurred, we're going to call this thing, in 25 years, we're going to call it, or at least put it out for bid. I don't give you any more money. That $100,000 is gone. Real quick. Yeah, they are smart businessmen. Like I said, great service. I enjoy the idea of being able to call them up and say, I got a bunch of junk in my garage. Come on over. Let me throw it out, and you take care of it. Good service. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Good people. My grandson loves watching the trash trucks go around and things like that. You know, I actually kind of like it too. You know, it's amazing how I'm still trying to figure out how those guys get so good at being able to drive up, you know, quickly and stop and be in the right spot for the trash can. I just don't have that eye-hand coordination whatsoever. But that's what we're looking at. Is yes, they're good business people, it's a good company, but you can't guarantee 25 years from now it's going to be the same thing. And being good business people, everything they do isn't out of the goodness of their heart if they're not making money on it from on the back end somewhere. Because if they're losing money on that back end, then they're not as smart as we think they are. They're actually pretty stupid. If all the things they're doing to comply with state law and everything else, they're not making at least their costs back, they're not too bright. And if that's the case, why are we putting our all our eggs in the basket for the next 25 years. Just, that's what it comes down to, And, I look at it too, what probably appalls me more than anything else is the disagreement that was going on in the city. The Lions put on a big fundraiser every year. And because a couple of people associated with the Lions were supportive, they didn't want to give the Lions any money. Lions had nothing to do with this organization, with what was going on. But they didn't give them money. So how long is it going to be before they decide, well, the police enforced a law we don't like, we don't want to give them that money anymore? Don't sell out. Are we really that bad off financially that for $2 million today, you're willing to sell out for the next 25 years? Thank you.
Thank you. Blanca Vinzer, Jerry Curcio is on deck.
Good evening, Mayor and council people and residents that have all come out. My name is Blanca Venzer, and I've been a resident for over 25 years. My family and I are opposed to the service contract. Service is not the problem. The issue is the amount we pay and this contract. And I've always had a problem paying quarterly, but it's obvious why people pay quarterly, why they demand the bill quarterly. But I do want residents to know that you can call and pay monthly if you choose to, unless they change that. I have not seen or heard this many residents come out in favor of the Athens contract. They've really come out of the woodwork today in favor of it. Where have you been in the past? And by the way, Athens, you should share the wealth. You charge enough. One other thing that I agree with a gentleman earlier, today is a very important night, the presidential debate, which is very informative to the citizens of this country. I know in the past you've canceled the meeting, not for a turkey dinner or whatever that is. This is much more important than that. I'd like to know why you chose to host that meeting tonight, this meeting tonight, knowing that the presidential debate is so important to inform everyone in our country. Seems very interesting to me. But once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry Curcio and Sue Curcio is on deck.
Mayor Tui, council members, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do for our great city. I've been born and raised in this city. I'm 50 years old, and I want you to know that I am proud to say that I am a citizen of West Covina. Mayor Tui, Councilmember Herford, from the bottom of my heart, I'd also like to thank you guys for what you do for our kids. As a small business owner, I strive to always do my best for all of my customers. You always do what you say you're going to do, and then you do more. Sometimes the customers don't realize what you have done, but as a business owner, I do. I never have to worry about my trash. I know that on Monday morning, the trash will be picked up. I have witnessed my trash driver get out of his truck and pick up items that have fallen, and he puts them back in the proper place. Going green is very important to me. My company provides service that does the same things for homeowners. But what I really like about Athens Services is that I don't have to separate my recyclable items, that they do it for us. I have a friendly little relationship with one of our drivers. When I hear that truck coming down the street, and if I'm home, I run to the refrigerator or freezer and I get him a cold soda or water. And I know that he appreciates the offer. Athens is a community-based company. They are local, which is very important to me. Athens is one of the companies that provides services in our city that I feel that we can't afford to let go. We have a very clean city. A lot of that is because of Athens. Athens also services some of our neighboring cities. For the past 6 years, I've been a president of West Covina National Little League. We average over 265 boys and girls at our park, and our board has the opportunity to serve them and their families. I want you to know that Athens Services supports our Little League every year by sponsoring our children. We use their money for those kids that have parents that are struggling, that can't pay for their kids to play. We want all of our kids have the opportunity to have life's lessons through baseball and softball. For the next 3 years, I am honored to serve as a district administrator. My stewardship will cover 13 leagues in our area. We have the opportunity to serve over 3,000 boys and girls and their families, 2/3 of which Athens support. This is a wonderful company that gives back to the community, not only to youth programs, but in helping to beautify our city and much, much more. Mayor Tui, council members, I ask that you do extend this awesome company's contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Curcio and Bill Schaefer's on deck.
Do your hands ever get sweaty when you're nervous? Mine are very sweaty at the time. I want to say good evening to Mayor Tui and the City Council. My name is Sue Curcio, and I've lived in West Covina all my life. You know, I don't know a whole lot about competitive pricing. I'm the first one to admit that. I don't know if the City of West Covina is even getting a competitive price when it comes to Athens. But what I do know, I know that they pick up our trash every Monday, and our neighborhoods always look clean. If you drive through the city of West Covina, you see that the trash cans are up against the curb. You don't see just green trash bags on the street. You know, they're in the cans where they belong, and it makes our city look beautiful. I know that the $2 million that they've offered to the city of West Covina is a big bonus to us. We are struggling in these financial times, and I think that we can all use the $2 million bonus. I think the $100,000 that they've offered to our city is a great blessing, you know, to be able to keep our SWAT team active, and that protects the citizens of West Covina. And I know that Athens is a really good company. They support the youth of this community, and that's important to me. I know when I go to baseball fields or I go to the football games, I see the Athens banners, and I know that they're willing to give back to the community, and that's important. And I just want you to know that I support signing the contract and renewing with Athens, but I also want you to know that I support you guys, and that whatever you guys decide to do, that you have my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Schaefer and Lloyd Johnson is on deck.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'd like to say that I'm opposed to extending the contract at this time. I think that we live in the greatest country in the world where fairness and competition are cherished. I think that it would be a mistake to jump at the dangling carrot before exploring all of our options and seeking bids from other companies that might up the ante. They might give us $3 million or $4 million. They might give us more money for our community activities. But without asking and finding out, we will never know if we just jump at this extension. So I think that we need to be sensible and take the time to fully explore all of the options. I also take issue with the franchise fee that Athens collects. It's called a franchise fee, but when they collect it from the people and then turn it over to the city, It smells like a tax. And, you know, my understanding of franchise fees are that they're paid by the franchisee. When I go to McDonald's and I buy a hamburger, they don't say, well, that'll be $2 plus sales tax, oh, plus a franchise fee. So if I have to pay this franchise fee and it's not taken from the overall profits of the company, then I think that I should have a say in who picks up my trash. And I would like to explore all the options and at least have some information as to what these other companies can do for the city, will do for the city, and then make a sensible decision in extending whatever contract we choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Lloyd Johnson and Phil Marino is on deck. Lloyd.
Good evening, Mayor Turi. I'm here to talk on a different item. What I'd like to talk about tonight is item number 11, which is Councilmember Sotelo item on term limits. I brought this subject up to the council some time back, so I would like to thank Councilmember Sotelo for asking to have it on the agenda. It's time for our city to have term limits. It should be an honor to serve our great city and try to make a change for the better. There are a lot of residents who probably would love to serve our great city, but with the high cost of running a campaign, most residents stay away from trying to run for the council. We have seen in the past a great amount of money being spent on a job that should be an honor to hold. The problem with serving on a council for a very long time is one bad decision will erase all the good you have done for the city. People will only remember the bad choices you made and not the good ones. What I really would love to see is this council instruct our staff to come back with a reading that would have a term limit of 3 4-year terms with a cap of spending of no more than $30,000 on each election. This way, we would be able to have residents who would love to serve be able to serve and try to make a difference. I really do believe at some point we will have term limits in West Covina. It would be nice if our council had it done instead of it being put on the ballot that would cost the citizens of West Covina a lot of money. Term limits will not affect the majority of this council. I have talked to many and many residents about term limits, and I would say that 98% are in favor of term limits and a cap of spending for each election of no more than $30,000. So please do the right thing and let's move in the way that the residents of West Covina will be standing with you on this issue that will affect the future of our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philip Marino and Darlene Gallo next.
Members of the council, members of the staff, members of the audience. Will Rogers was a political comedian, and Will Rogers said, "We have the best politicians that money can buy." This is not about the Athens contract. This is about the timing of their suggestion. Our city is having fiscal problems and stated that it has a balanced budget. How in the world do you include the sales revenue from dealerships that aren't even open? You've already included in the next fiscal budget of the year 2012-2013 the revenue that you were supposed to get from dealerships that right now are not doing business. So guess who rides to the rescue? The company that gave you money to get elected. Now, if that isn't a coincidence, I don't know what is. This is not about the good employees of Athens. This is about Mr. Ciabatta riding in to rescue you from fiscal mismanagement that has driven this city to question how it's going to balance its budget if those dealerships don't come online in time. So, the speakers at previous city council meetings want competitive bidding so as to bring down the cost of what they have to pay to have their trash picked up. But Mr. Freeland's report is flawed. It's flawed because it is a history of this city's relationship over the last 20 years with Athens. That's not a question. Mr. Chabata is a damn good businessman. He knows what he has to do business in the city of West Covina. So guess what? He sends a letter to this man and says, man, I'll bring you $2 million. You think it could have been done 6 months ago? 6 months from now? No. So let's not question Athens and the business acumen of that gentleman. He's a sharp guy. What we're asking is, why did the people come up and ask you to have competitive bidding? And the answer is, it's the rate. So I know it's going to be hard to say no to the man who gave you money. But there again, remember, we have the best politicians that money can buy. Thank you.
Thank you. Darlene Gallo and Forrest Wilkins on deck.
Hi, how are you today? Hi, my name is Darlene. I live in the city of West Covina. I understand that our fireworks and our summer concerts will be funded through the generous donation from Athens Services with the renewal of their contract with the city of West Covina. My family and I have attended these events each year and would hate to see them go away due to budget issues. I know we are living through tough times and budgets have to be tightened up but with the donation from Athens, this will be a great help to the city of West Covina. Please protect our community programs and approve Athens Services proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Forrest Wilkins, then Brandy Johnson is on deck.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm here to talk about, you know what, Athens, as I have been talking about the last 11 months. I first would like to establish my residency here a week from this Saturday. My bride of 43 years and myself, we have lived here for 40 years. As reported the last time I gave the statistic, I remember the date because that's the day we moved in the house, my sister's birthday, so I kind of remember it. But we've heard some very interesting comments here, but the bottom line, it's all about money, M-O-N-E-Y. We haven't heard, as I reported several months ago, 23 years ago, Athens was fined $500,000 for price fixing. We haven't heard about that, have we? We haven't heard that Steve Herford accepted $8,000 in contributions for his campaign last time he ran. Mayor Mike Toohey received over $8,000. I think it was $8,600. Anyways, over the $8,000 mark. And Mayor Pro Tem Shelley Sanderson received over $13,000 for her campaign. The last two city council elections, the incumbents received almost $50,000 from Athens in this city. They service 24 communities. How does that money flow? You know, $2 million. Big deal. As has been pointed out, that could all change. It's all about money. We can do better. It was 2 city council meetings ago. The chief of police of West Covina was summoned to come up here at this microphone, and he was asked about the tow service. And his reply was, they have he likes 2 tow services because there's competition. Competition breeds efficiency. Amazing. The city council accepted that. Now they're considering no competition for over 25 years. Doesn't add up, does it? What was it, 3-4 months ago? There was an article in the Tribune. City of Rosemead. Remember that one, Mayor? Consolidated had been their trash collector since 1992. Their residential price was $19. Contract came up, they submitted $16. And guess what? Athens not only submitted 1 bid, that they submitted 2 bids to the city of Rosemead because they had a little franchise fee in there. Theirs was $16. Here we pay $26. Athens, the great company, they want their business for $16. Why don't they give it to us for $16? Let's go to Redondo Beach. Athens services that city. It's right around $12 a month. I talked to the Public Works Director several months ago, he had experience in working in different cities. I said, how come this disparity? He says it's all what the city council works out with Athens. Amazing. It comes down to dollars and cents. Dollars and cents. Does it make sense? 25-year contract? Well, how about this proposal? We'll consider a 25-year contract with Athens if they charge us $10 a month for the next 25 years. Are they going to accept that? No, it's not in their best interest. But they'll throw a contract at us that's in their best interest. And again, consolidated, they would offer the same services that Athens services us now. You know, special pickup, once a year, clean out your garage. It was all in the paper. Councilman Sotelo, I would like to give you a little lesson. 1960, I was 16 years old. Didn't care much about politics. There was a big mayor race in Los Angeles. Paulson was going up for re-election, and some guy by the name of Sam Yorty was running against him. I don't know the complete issue, but I do remember it. It was about trash. Sam Yorty brought the thing about mixing bottles and cans with trash and so forth. Made a big deal about it. Yorty was elected. Trash is an important thing. When the community realizes that we are paying more than we should, City Council probably won't be elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy Johnson, and then Dora Castro. We're down to like our last 8, 10.
Hi, my name is Brandy, and I have lived in West Covina for 15 years. I'm very happy with Athens services. I've never had a problem, love the drivers. But the one thing that that stands out with Athens is that I can call them and I have somebody live on the phone all the time. Never have to wait. They're always polite, always courteous. I never have to call them for a problem. I've never had a problem at all. But I love the fact that you don't have to call them, listen to an automated service, get hung up on. In fact, one time I did call and I did get disconnected. Somebody called me back. So I do believe that you do get what you pay for. So thank you.
Thank you, Dora Castro, and Gary Lawson is on deck.
Good evening. My name is Dora Castro, and I've been a resident in West Covina for 14 years. And I wanted to let you know that I completely support the Athens proposal. The drivers are great. The quality of service is exceptional. I have never had issues with my trash pickup. In fact, their customer service is great. They go above and beyond for your customer. Last year I had major surgery and was unable to roll out my barrels on my own, and the driver was actually very friendly and very courteous in helping me. And then there was a time where I actually had to go to the hospital because of complications, and I contacted customer service, and like Brandy said, it is a relief not to have to go and wait on the line and press number 1 for billing, have all these options and have to wait only to get disconnected. You get a very warm, friendly voice that greets you, and they also go above and beyond in making you feel like not just another one of their customers, but a very valued customer. They give you that personal attention, and they help me out, and so I hope that you would support Athens and extend their contract. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to make sure, because we keep on getting cards up after we've been going for an hour and a half on oral communications. Any additional cards that have not been turned in, we've gone an hour past oral communications, that we will just take the rest of them if anyone else turns them in at the end of the meeting. Okay?
Did you say I had an hour and a half to speak?
I'm confident you could speak for an hour and a half. We're not granting it today.
Mayor, council members.
And Irma's on deck. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm here for 2 reasons, and I'll keep them, both of them brief. One of them is a reference for Athens. I've either worked, lived, or volunteered in this city for over 40 years. And I do a lot of volunteer work for a lot of different organizations. And I found out very quickly that Athens was a good neighbor, a good ambassador, and a good community support person. But I've been involved in organizing golf tournaments, nonprofit fundraisers, and Athens has always been very responsive when they've received a letter from me for whatever organization that they could help support in regards to this Little League or some other organization that helps needy kids. So my experience with Athens from a business point is they're very involved and energetic in the community. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, the Discover West Covina, I'm not bringing that to your attention, you already know that. But what I wanted to bring your attention is I've been surveying business people and residents, and the two significant aspects that I've discovered is that the citizens I've talked to, the residents that I've talked to, had conversations with in the city of West Covina, really appreciate this newsletter coming to their houses because they like the articles about the city news. And the other aspect is I'm working with as a business consultant. I work for myself as a business consultant now. And the business people that I've had discussions with appreciate, the local businesses appreciate the exposure to the residents. And my summary would be that this is, from my research and data, the newsletter is a highlight for the residents in the city of West Covina. Thank you.
Thank you. Irma, then Tom O'Donnell is on deck. Thank you for not taking an hour and a half, Gary.
Good evening. My name is Irma Huicochea, and I have been a resident of West Covina for 13 years. And I'm here to support the Athens proposal because I believe it's a good company with good employees that provide good service, and that they will do it with, contributions of $2 million and $100,000 a year, even better. I consider that giving back to the community, not kickbacks. And as a resident, I am always concerned about the safety of my family and my neighborhood. And I choose West Covina as my home because I feel it's a safe environment. Funding of the SWAT team means that the residents can continue to feel safe and insecure living here. And with cities having to cut the extras from their budgets, I think that this is a great deal for the city, and I hope that you will vote to approve the Athens proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom O'Donnell, and Liz Sanchez is on deck.
Good evening, council members. My name is Thomas J. O'Donnell. I've been a resident since 1970. I spent a great deal of my life supporting you, primarily because I've always been proud of your accomplishments, and once again, you've come in with that big touchdown. I find it interesting in this time and age when we see so much dysfunction that takes place within government. The government of California, I think if you take a real good look at that, that's dysfunction. The government that we're having a problem with in Congress and the United States, that best identifies dysfunction. Ladies and gentlemen, this typifies functional government. We have a company that took an interest in our community. They came out, they became active members of it. So how do we treat them when we bring them in? We look at them like we should call the police. You got to be kidding me. These people came here to support the city of West Covina. They're not sitting there just collecting our money. They're actually getting involved with our community. Of course we should accept this. How many companies do you really see that actually come in here and take an active participation with our youth, with our schools, who come in and try to help out? We knew we had financial difficulties in this town. Those fine folks over at Athens, they come in, they act like the nice guys, and what do? We reach for a rope. My apology.
Tom, you need to address the chair.
I'm
Please.
sorry.
It's okay. I understand your
Get
passion.
excited. In any event, absolutely, I support your endeavor with Athens. I think this is just absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Liz Sanchez and Andy McIntyre is on deck.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisbeth Sanchez, and I'm here to support Athens Services. I've been a resident for West Covina my whole entire life. I love their service. I have 2 properties in West Covina, and they both service both properties, and I've been amazed with the type of service that I receive. The drivers are always courteous. If I have an extra pickup through the week, I can call and speak to a live customer service rep and get the problem taken care of right away. Thank you, and I hope you guys do support the service. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy McIntyre and Juan Reynoso is on deck.
Andrew McIntyre, 1027 South Furcroft, and also with the McIntyre Company. I have a unique position in that I deal with Athens on both sides, the residential and the commercial side, and just like everybody pretty much has agreed to tonight, Athens is a stellar company to work with on a professional standpoint as far as what they do with their service. They pick up the trash, they have beautiful clean trucks, they are easy to work with. When our bins get too full on the commercial side, they call us, they work with us to help us unload them, so that way their trucks can pick them up. So as far as service, I think everyone has pretty much agreed that they're a fantastic company to work with. Also, I'm extremely active in the community with all the different volunteer groups. We help support a lot of different organizations in West Covina and Covina. I look at the communities as one big community just because I drive back and forth. My office is in Covina, and Athens isn't just awesome in West Covina, they're awesome in Covina, which goes to show that they're pretty much a pretty solid company all the way around. There's probably only one other company, I'm a little biased, but there's one other company that probably commits more to community activities in West Covina and the surrounding area, and that's Athens. They're at everything. Every time I turn around, they're an example to live up to as far as support for all the organizations in our community and surrounding communities. And I just want to say they're a fantastic company. And also, from everybody talking about this long-term contract thing, as a real estate developer, I have experienced what the state of California has placed on just real estate developments and all the standards and requirements that you have to meet for environmental purposes. I can just imagine what trash companies have to live up to, and that takes money, and it takes financing. It's just the world we live in. And banks, organizations that do financing require long-term commitments of revenue. That's just the way it is. Blame our politicians over the years who have created all these regulations that everybody has to live up to. Some of them are good, some of them lead to waste, but the bottom line is Athens has to live, and West Covina city staff has to live with that, with all the requirements. So if you have multiple trash haulers coming in, that means there's multiple reports. It just, blame the state of California. I mean, it's complicated. All I can say is, and I'm not going to begin to try to understand how the state of California and all the restrictions it's put on trash haulers and so forth. I know just what they've done to development, and it's crazy. So they need long-term contracts to be able to finance these things. And they are a great company as far as my dealing with them. So through all of my dealings, I have to trust that they are a private company. They do need a return of profit. But this is America. That's what it's about. And I just support Athens. I trust Athens. I think you should commit to this. If I'm young, I'm going to be dealing with them for the rest of my life. I don't want expensive trash, but they've proven to me to be really responsible corporate members of the community. So I support Athens. I hope you do too. Thank you.
And I know, Andy, it was brought up earlier, the Field of Valor, which is primarily being done by, I know it's being done through the Rotary Club, but through the McIntyre Company, you and Linda Logan. I want to thank you. I know it was brought up, and it's a tremendous undertaking your family and your company is doing.
Thank you. It's going to be an awesome event. I know I just want to explain. It's going to be amazing to see 2,000 American flags the week of the election in our local community. We're going to have military equipment there. We're going to have a flyover with some vintage aircraft. The monies all go towards our local veterans, Covina veterans, West Covina veterans, Azusa veterans, Glendora. We don't look at it, again, this is America. So in the beginning, we want to help our surrounding community members, Covina, West Covina, 9 communities. But it's going to be a great event, so please, if you pay attention, it's going to be on Grand at Sierra Vista, off Grand and Puente, the week of November 4th through the 11th. If you get a chance, stop by. It's going to be awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Juan Reynoso and Steve Bennett is on deck. Sorry about that, Juan.
Good evening, council members. I, too, have a lot of employees. Should have had them here when my contract was up. Service is not the issue here. I have a number of properties throughout Southern California, and I deal with other companies also, Consolidated, Waste Management, good service. It's all about competitive bidding. $2 million that they're offering is in there. It's in there. I'm a contractor. I know how to do business. $100,000 per year, it's in there. Trust me. There is no free ride. I would also like to have the option to submit a proposal to the city and for the city to consider it without competitive bidding. That would work out great for me. And I too would be giving some, funding for this and funding for that. Heck, if it's worked in there, I'll give $2 million also. When you're assured an evergreen contract, 25 years, I don't care which way you put it, it's evergreen. And you're making money hands over fist, you could afford to give handouts. As a contractor, I know all too well what a franchise fee. Nothing more than laundering money from one account to another account. In this instance, however, the money in question is not being funneled from one city account to another city account. It's coming from the residents disguised as a franchise fee. It's very simple. The contractor, in this instance, Athens, is required to collect a franchise fee from the residents. Those fees, or a portion thereof, are given back to the city as a franchise fee. And there you have it. We've been taxed. Submitting a bid with supposed give kickbacks to the community, candidate fundings, which we all know about, franchise fees, is very simple. You gather all your costs of providing the service, including profit, and simply tack on what you're going to be giving back to the community and the projected amount to give for elections. There's your franchise fee, and add the franchise fee to that. It's very simple. All we're asking for, we're not asking to get rid of our current service. Just put it out to bid. We want competitive bids. I guarantee you, as a contractor, you will get other businesses to come in here and want to offer that or better. That's the way it works. On another topic, I recently asked for public records, which I was denied. Public records for what the graffiti removal contractor has been doing. Logs. Actually, what the contract has been doing. I don't know on what grounds those aren't being given. I'm sure, I don't know, maybe California, government code 6254. I don't know if that's what the city attorney is basing himself on. These are not investigative materials. This is what this contractor is charging us for. What is he doing? We need to know what is it that he's out there doing. We've got 2 reports that are submitted. One his daily log and one by the graffiti tracker, the tracking company that the city contracts with? Do those reports jive? I really doubt it. I do this for a living. The amount of service that is claimed by these reports is impossible. The parks are supposed to be visited daily, according to the contract. I know they're not being visited daily. Once again, these records should be made public. Every city provides these records. What we'd like to know is basically, I think we're entitled to know, where are our tax dollars being spent? Where is this work supposedly taking place? I'd like to know, why the secrecy? Why are you holding back on these documents? No city holds back on service logs, bills. This is our money. Don't hide it, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Steve Bennett and James Tomo. Or Toma.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, city staff, one of the things I love about city council is you get a lot of different people up here who get to speak and admit their or set their First Amendment right of free speech. So you get 5 minutes of my First Amendment right now too. Everyone here has talked about the service not being an issue, and I agree. Their service is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But I go back to places that treat me right. I go back to places that provide great service. So for me, that's just what I do. So of course I would be fine with extending contracts or even keeping the contract at 12 years. It doesn't have to be extended. But we talk about the evergreen clause. With the evergreen clause, when you have a company, they invest in a lot of equipment. And you've heard about the MRF facility that they've talked about, and for those of us who come to council on a fairly regular basis, the MRF facility is a recovery system. That's a lot of money they invest, and that takes time to recover. So I don't have an issue with the long-term contract either. That's part of being in business, is you have to have some investments. I negotiate contracts on what I do for a living, and I know every contract is different. So we've heard about pricing in different cities, but we haven't seen those contracts. So I leave it to you guys for your judgment. If this is a good contract, I trust you. You were elected by a majority of this city. That's what I believe in. I believe in the democratic process, and we're going to have that again in a couple weeks. Whether it be 25 years, 12 years, or whatever you guys decide, that's it. I'm fine with it. Like I said, I support you. Another topic I wanted to hit, and I'm going to try not to hit all the topics that everyone's already hit tonight, but community involvement. I was involved with Little League for 3 years as a former president, and I've seen Athens banners on just about every youth sports facility in this area. As a youth sports leader and running a league, that's important, because I'll tell you right now, in the 3 years that I ran a Little League, to find donors to give you money is very hard right now. And people are hurting for money, and I heard, Mr. Curcio over there, who was another sports league leader at the same time as me, and, he's right. That money goes to those families who are hurting right now, that the kids have a hard time coming to play because of money. So, I support them, whether it be fireworks shows, whether it be summer concerts. Heck, it could be parades down the street. I don't care, because the more we do as a city and come out together, the better we become. I heard a lot of people up here talk about franchise fees and call it a tax. I spent 8 years working for a franchisor, and somebody reverted to McDonald's, and they said, they pay sales tax, but they don't pay a franchise fee. Well, I hate to tell you, it's in there. As the last guy just said, you're paying a franchise fee in that price for that Big Mac. You may not see it, it may not be listed, but it's there. And, the franchise company that I worked for charged 6%. That 6% was for the services we provided to them to support them, to provide them business consulting and a number of other topics that they may need. It's no different in our city. We're providing them roads to drive on. We're providing them, our thoroughfares. I think we should absolutely charge them for that and get it paid. Are they going to charge back to the customer? I don't know. That's not my business model. I don't know their business model well enough to get into that. But you know what? That's fine. It's part of service. I heard somebody else mention campaign contributions, and Mr. Wilkins and I have been friends for a number of years, and we had a conversation at one point, and I thoroughly believe this. I've never met a campaign or seen a campaign where they've not had contributions from businesses. As such, I've never seen a businessman come up to somebody to give them money or been asked for money and say, you know, I don't agree with anything you say or do, but hey, here's $500. So, of course, people are going to support people with like-minded mentality. You know, it's just the way it is. I'm going to give my money to the people that I think are going to represent me. So, of course, if they gave to Mayor Toohey, great. You probably have a similar political view as them, or at least they thought you did, or whatever reason. I don't have a problem with that. That's perfectly fine. Mayor, Council, I don't envy your decision. I think you've got a lot of people here tonight that supported it for great reasons, and I think you've got a few people that obviously don't. No matter what you do, you're going to be viewed as an evil person by half the people in this room. So, you know what? I absolutely congratulate you for the choices you make and support you, and I wish you the best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. James, and then Gary's our last speaker. Unless I need, before you speak, James, has Ruby or Cassandra, or either one of them here, they do not have last name? Which one? Okay, you're going to be after Gary. No problem. Sorry about that. No problem. Go ahead, James.
Thank you, Mayor Toohey and members of the City Council. As has been stated before, I mean, anytime you're looking at a contract of 25 years, you have to view it with some skepticism. It's obviously a very serious issue. I have many favorite businesses. I have my favorite cafe, my favorite restaurant, my favorite grocery store. I would never agree to solely solicit that business unless I had some absolute guarantees that the service and the price were amazing and would be so for over that time period. I don't think that kind of information, those kinds of guarantees are in the current contract, although I don't have all the details of the current contract, but I think just the starting point ought to be with skepticism whenever you're looking at a contract for 25 years with an evergreen clause. The second point I'd like to make is that my understanding was this was an unsolicited offer to the city from a business. Whenever I've been in a position to negotiate something very important, I would never accept a first offer. There is room to negotiate. I believe that was the city staff's recommendation, that the city negotiate. This body has a duty to its citizens to negotiate the best deal for its taxpayers and its residents, and I don't think accepting an unsolicited offer is fulfilling that duty. I think you should go back to the drawing board. If you're going to negotiate a long-term contract, make sure it's the best one possible for the city. Don't just take what's offered to you by a private business that's looking for the best deal in its own self-interest. And on the third point, which was raised, I believe, in the city evaluation, my understanding that there's a clause in the current contract that was amended in 2004 that would put forth some penalties if the city were to cancel the agreement. And my understanding, if the city were to cancel today, there would still be a 12-year contract. That's a long-term contract. But if the city were to cancel now, I believe it would then owe Athens something close to $1 million for doing that. I don't know how that provision got negotiated. If the city were to accept this renewal, would that provision still exist in the current contract? And how much more money and how much less likely or less possible will it be for the city to cancel the contract in the future if it accepts this deal now? The city is not in a position of best leverage at this point. There's no reason why it should have to jump into this at this point, and I think it would be very short-sighted for it to do so. So I would urge you to not extend the contract and to look into other options of negotiating a better deal or possibly looking into the option of canceling or revising the existing contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary, and then Cassandra. And is Ruby here? Does anyone know if Ruby is still here? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, thank you for giving me the opportunity to step up here and speak. I am speaking on behalf for Athens. I've been a resident since 1993 here, homeowner, raising my family here. I volunteered at West Covina Girls Softball, Pacific Coast Little League, and now I am at West Covina National Little League. I will be the successor following Jerry Curcio for the presidency of 2013 for West Covina National. Service has been outstanding. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Service has never been an issue with Athens. I think all the years that West Covina has done business with them, if by now you don't know that you have a business partner, I don't know what you're looking at. This is an outstanding company servicing our city. I never worry about if my trash is getting picked up. The biggest worry I have is who's going to bring the trash cans in. That's about it. A company of his size, he has to deal with AQMD, the CHP, the DOT, local, city, state, federal, all kinds of regulations. You have to have long-term contracts in order to be able to sustain yourself throughout the years. You may find somebody cheaper, and they may last 5 years. Where are we going to be at in 5 years with our trash? I'm sure there's going to be a lot more restrictions placed on our trash and all that. We have to have somebody that can sustain themselves throughout the years. And I do not see nothing wrong with, being in business with this man for the next 15, 25 years. He has proven that he's honest. Otherwise, we would have bailed out of the contract a long time ago already. Their offer he is giving is outstanding. I don't know anybody that's willing to give $2 million to anybody right now at all. The communities I volunteer for, the services, we need that money to help the kids out, help the kids play ball, football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is. Without that, we'd have to look at those kids in their eyes and say, hey, sorry, son, daughter, you can't play this year. We don't have the money to fund this. We do have the money. We have 4th of July. I have friends that live in other cities. They come here because we have 4th of July. They don't allow fireworks, and they have no shows. And they think this is awesome. We have concerts. We have 4th of July. It's an awesome thing. That has to come from somewhere. So with that being said, I would say, my thoughts are all the way for Athens. I think they're a great company, outstanding business partner, and we need to form more alliances like this with our business partners. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassandra is our last speaker for the night. We made it through 2 hours.
Hi, my name's Cassandra Carrillo. I've been a resident of West Covina for 30 years. I'm very happy with my service. We've never had an issue. We really do enjoy the fact that they have that cleanup Saturday because it helps us out with our spring cleaning, so that's definitely a plus. I think that the proposal would be good for the city, and it'll help the city programs for the community and the residents in the community, which includes myself and my family. I do have a 4-year-old son who is obsessed with the trash man. He absolutely loves him. Tomorrow's our trash day, so I know I will be up bright and early at 6:30, jumping out of his bed and sitting on the front porch to watch him. Everyone at Athens has always been so nice and kind. We met George, the street sweeper, right now, so that was really nice. That was exciting. My son will love that. The trash men are always so kind. They always give a thumbs up and a wave to him. I do also have, his request was to be a trash man for Halloween. So Athens has been very helpful in providing some items to help me with his costume. And I'm happy with their service, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, are you going to address some of the questions you may have wrote down? Before we get going, the one thing I want to comment when people talk about charitable donations and then they attack the people that make them sometimes. When you really think about the utility bills you have, I don't know about your home. Edison is my highest. They have an exclusive. And then you just go down from there. Water, cable or phone, gas. And as much as all those people have almost exclusive contracts, when you look around at all the community events, you don't see all those groups that have guaranteed contracts, upwards of $70 million a month, some of them, as active as others. So, I mean, we have to be fair. People, you can't attack someone if they choose not to donate. Then when they donate, you attack them also. That's kind of an ironic place to be, where no matter what the company does, they get beat up for giving it, they get beat up for not giving it. I think sometimes we need to sit back ourselves and almost look in the mirror and measure ourselves. How charitable are we then, if we're going to hold someone else in that type of light? Go ahead, Mr. Staff, or Mr. City Manager.
I think there was a question on the memorial and the Blue Star banner program, which I'd like Mr. Freeland to respond to.
Thank you, Mr. Pasman. As folks know, for several years, the city has participated in what we call our Blue Star program. That's for anybody in West Covina who has a loved one serving in our armed forces. What we do is we have an application form. The program is still ongoing. And what you do is you can get an application from the city manager's office. We also have it on the city's webpage. You complete that application, submit it in, and you actually get a poster will be mailed out to you that actually goes in your window, if you wish, at your home to show that you are a Blue Star family with someone in one of your loved ones serving our armed forces. We are still doing our banner program and working with our corporate partners to put banners up throughout the community as funding becomes available. And some family members have actually stepped up and provided funding for their own banners for their loved ones. So those programs are still moving forward. There was a comment this evening about the Veterans Memorial. City staff has been meeting with the Veterans Memorial Committee to finalize the design. We will be having a Veterans Day event here on Sunday, November the 11th at noon. Part of that will be a visual display of the Veterans Memorial design that we have tentatively approved here with the City Council and the location. One of the issues is the funding of it. We're working through those numbers right now with the Veterans Committee because we are looking to get community donations, either both financially or services. And so that program is still moving forward. It's just taking a little bit of time because of the resources, but we believe that we are able to hopefully bring that back for Council's approval here shortly and start moving forward with the construction of that project.
Thank you. Is there any other questions you were going to answer at this time?
I think there was just a question about our holding meetings, and these are regularly posted meetings by municipal code that we have the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So unless the council chooses to cancel a meeting, that's the direction we normally will continue with our city business.
No problem. Councilmember Sykes.
Thank you, Mayor Tui. Again, thank you, Mayor Tui. There was a question of transparency regarding public information request. Can we address that as to why that wasn't granted? Thank you.
You're talking about regarding the graffiti tracker records?
Yes, it was a public information request, and I would like to have that issue explained to the public as to why, when you make a public records request, in this case, why wasn't it granted? It's everybody's right to request what their tax dollars is being used for.
No problem.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, the Public Records Act request was forwarded to our office and also to the police department. And we can provide to the entire City Council the written response that our office did provide in citing the specific provisions of the Government Code and the Public Records Act that precluded presentation of those records as requested. It's important to note that the Public Records Act does allow for records to be distributed, but there are certain areas, especially as it relates to law enforcement matters, that would possibly thwart or diminish the ability of the police department to engage in its efforts, especially in the area of graffiti. In consultation with the police chief and his staff, we collectively came to the conclusion that it would be best to hold back these records and that in releasing such records would put in jeopardy the city's efforts and the police department's efforts to reduce and curb graffiti. I'll get that letter for all council members, and you can, if anyone wishes to consult with me individually, I'll be happy to explain the position of our office and the police department.
Does anyone else have any questions? We go to the consent calendar. Then, does anyone want to pull an item off the consent calendar? The only thing I would like to add, item number 6, and I know we have the guys here from Foothill, because of federal and state funding, that will be a project labor agreement there. That will be part of the, okay. Want to make sure?
Probably know for the record that the Foothill people are nodding their head yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then as long as that's included as requiring a project labor agreement on the parking structure for the government entity, is there any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, can we pull the foreclosure item? I think it's a great program, and I think we could use a little staff report on that.
Separate report?
Pull that. And then I want to make a comment on item 8, the selection of the construction management consultant for Amar Road and Azusa Avenue. I didn't support this project, but my initial vote will carry through. But as far as contract administration, I'm not going to hold up the city by not voting for it, so I will support it. But I did not support the concept of 3 lanes turning left in each direction. So.
No problem. Okay, we have a motion to
Make a motion to approve all items except item
number 7 for a separate report.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
With my caveat on item number 6, was that okay to both the maker of the motion and the second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the consent calendar, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Passes 401. We got dropped down to item number 7. Mr. City Manager, who will present the staff report on the foreclosure program?
Mr. Yahtzee will give you a brief report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Due to the economy, many cities are facing a lot of vacant homes in foreclosure. The banks do not always properly care for the homes. The City Council directed staff a couple months ago to bring back an ordinance to require banks to register and maintain foreclosed homes. This ordinance is crafted after ordinances in other nearby cities that have pursued the same laws. A consultant that provides this service for El Monte approached staff with this idea. That firm is Nationwide Cost Recovery Services. El Monte and Riverside and other cities are following this course. If we use a consultant for the service, the city will not have to hire additional staff. In general, the ordinance will require banks to register and maintain their properties and also pay for inspection to make sure that they're meeting our standards. In hopes of a better economy, the ordinance is set to sunset in 3 years. Regarding the registration and inspection fees, Finance will return next month with a fee study to set those fees. And those fees will only cover the cost of administration and pay for the consultant inspection services. Therefore, staff's recommending pursuing this ordinance to help code enforcement keep up with foreclosed properties, thus improve the values and aesthetics of the city neighborhoods. I'll ask if there's any questions.
Mr. Mayor, if I might just add to that, the report indicates, in case the public isn't aware, there's about 270 properties that are currently in foreclosure in West Covina. And I know that some of the council members had pointed out some of these properties, when you get complaints from your constituents that they're not being maintained, this would help keep a track on those particular units.
We have any other questions? No, I brought this up a while ago to talk to, at least I've seen the program operating in El Monte, because too many times we're having bank foreclosures where the bank just leaves the property there next to neighborhoods or next to people's homes and absolutely deteriorate the value.
We have 2 meetings going.
I think they got the point. Sorry. Now going back to the main meeting. But I'll second whatever motion Phil made back there. But no, it's a tremendous problem we're having in our neighborhoods where a foreclosed home that sits there and ruins the neighborhood, much less what it brings, you know, the broken window effect. It just, people start creeping around it. And this was also a follow-up to another item that we had on last meeting's agenda, where the federal government was going out selling a lot of the vacant houses in blocks of 500 homes. So they're just turned into instant rentals, and that's what we don't want. I think as a city, we'd rather have the homes sold to individuals to turn them into a home, not just to a rental property. So I'm glad this program's going to go forward also to enhance that. Do we have a motion for this?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
No problem. I'll second, and go ahead, Councilmember Sykes.
I just wanted to mention that some years ago, when I saw an abundance of foreclosures, I brought it to the chief's attention as to, I thought it was, in addition to marring our neighborhoods, it was a public safety situation for the peace officers. And I'm hoping that this will assist with that going forward, so I do support this idea.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 7 passes 401. We're up down to item number 8, or item number 9, sorry. I should wear my glasses if I'm going to have them on my head. Athens Service Waste Collection Contract Review. Mr. City Manager.
Mr. Freeland, would you do a brief report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Before you tonight is a summary of the Athens Services Waste Collection Contract for your review. As many of you are aware, we've been in an agreement with Athens Services since 1992 for the collection of our waste product. Athens is one of the major waste companies in San Gabriel Valley and Southern California, and they provide excellent service to the city of West Covina and has taken an active role in our community by providing funds to numerous West Covina nonprofit organizations. In May of 1999, the City Council amended their contract with Athens Services to provide the first MRFing of our community. At that time, residents came out in support of the program with the understanding that rates would be increasing by about 24% for residential rates at that time because of the increased service that they would be provided here in our community. Some communities in our neighboring communities have a 3-can system. Here in West Covina, we have a 2-can system, where all your waste that you collect that's in your black cans goes to a MRFing station where the folks at Athens sort that municipal waste. Your other bin is for your organic waste, which is your green waste, which is disposed of either at the landfill separately or, as Athens has indicated, will be sent out to the organics facility out in Victorville. So, as I mentioned, back in 1999, one of the reasons the city went to the MRFing system is because of the passage of AB 939, which required cities to divert 50% of the municipal waste or be subject to fines and penalties for each day of noncompliance. By converting to the MRF system, we've heard already from Mr. Chapetta tonight that the city is at a 69% compliance with our diversion rate. In 2020, the city will be required to go up to a 75% diversion rate, and there are methods being put into place now where we're optimistic that we will make that diversion rate. In the contract itself, there is discussion about a CPI increases, tipping fee increases, and other increases to rates that are subject to approval by the city. Some of them aren't subject to necessarily the approval of the city. For example, is what's called the tipping fees. When we look at your waste bill, there's different components to that fee that Athens is providing to residents. One is the service that they actually provide, which is the collection and the services at the MRF, and then delivery to the landfill. The landfill also charges a fee, which is called the tipping fee. Each year, that fee increases. And so that is an automatic pass-through, not just from Athens, but all, I shouldn't say all, but other franchisees of municipal waste pass that on to ratepayers. It's very common that you see CPI and tipping fee rate increases go through the contracts. Since the contract's inception back in 1999, the city has increased its collection and hauling component, which is the Athens services, based at a rate of 41% over those since 1999. CPI for that same period was over 42%. So they are below the CPI rate for that period of time. Now, when you look at the disposal rate, that's the rate that's actually charged by LA County Sanitation District for the fee to go through. That rate has increased by over 111% since the same period of time. And so the fee structure that folks have mentioned, part of that is the component, as we see with the closure of the Pointy Hills landfill and the costs involved with those tipping fees. The original agreement in 1999 with what's called a rolling agreement was for 8 years. In May of 2000, the City Council then approved a the extension of that rolling evergreen contract to 12 years, and in exchange, Athens forego a CPI increase for 2 years. So how did we get to where we are today? As I mentioned, the rates for Athens was a comparison of other San Gabriel Valley cities that we were able to provide of Athens services. It was brought up by some of the speakers. We are below the average for residential rates, and for the commercial rates we're about the same. It's very difficult to do a comparison of trash collection rates based on just the price alone. There are so many different components to make up for that. I know there's comments made about other cities like Redondo Beach, Glendora, Rosemead. All those communities have different priorities. When you look at shopping for services, you're not buying a commodity. You're not going out there and buying a new automobile. You're buying a service for a provider. So it's going to be very difficult to compare a commodity, the services of a trash collection based on just the rates alone. There's discussion about Redondo Beach. Redondo Beach is a very dense community. They also have a different service that they receive in Redondo Beach. In Covina, our neighbor, their rates are very similar to ours, and they have a 3-bin service. So they actually have, all their municipal waste that they collect goes directly to the landfill. It's not actually MRF'd and helps sort it. Some of the curbside, they are responsible for doing curbside recycling over there in Covina. So it means residents are separating their waste into recyclables and whatnot. So it's going to be very difficult to say, well, if Covina's paying a little bit less than us, or somebody else is paying a little bit more than us, how that will figure out. So you really need to examine other items within the contract. But as we received the proposal from Athens and as council directed, they asked us to look at the agreement. One of the items which one of the speakers brought up that is in the staff report is back in 2004, the city council, again, one of the other services that is different from our community is the city council at that time decided they wanted to charge commercial rates for multifamily residential communities. So like your condominium complexes, like for HOAs, apartment complexes. So by changing that rate, it caused a change in other rates for residential and commercial rates. So by changing that rate structure that was already in place, the council at the time made that change. One of the caveats of that is that at any time that the rolling agreement is terminated, Athens has the right to seek reimbursement for those lost revenues for that period of time. And that would be from a rate increase for those persons affected. In addition, as we look at the contract itself that's currently in place, the only other concern that the city has is that now with the 2020 deadline coming up where we need to have 75% diversion, there's only indemnification right now for 50%. Athens, back in 1999, agreed that they would be responsible for making sure that the city made the 50% diversion rate. If for any reason they didn't meet it or the city didn't meet it, they took on that liability. So the only other concern with the current contract the staff would have at this time would be also, as we look forward to this diversion, that 75 diversion, that's a little extra protection for the city. Even though we believe, even with our conversations with the individuals at Athens that will meet that 75% diversion rate, that little protection is always pretty nice to have. So there has been discussions about the unsolicited proposal received by Athens. They are asking for a 12-year, or excuse me, they currently have a 12-year rolling agreement. They're asking for an extension to a 25-year rolling agreement. I know there's been some comments made that that's not necessarily something that the city should look at, but I do want to make sure that the council understands that this is a practice that's done in local government. Some of our other surrounding cities do have rolling agreements. Covina just recently adopted a 20-year rolling agreement with Athens Services, where Athens Services provided $2 million up front, as well as $200,000 annually, as long as the agreement was in place. The city of Irwindale, they have a 40-year rolling agreement. So it is common to have rolling agreements in place. So what are some of the options now that we have received this proposal from Athens? Again, Athens has proposed that $2 million up front and $100,000 annually to support the Community Services Foundation for both the annual 4th of July celebration, the summer concert series, as well as the West Covina Police Department SWAT program. Some of the options contained within the staff report are to terminate the existing agreement with Athens Services and seek proposals. Now that we have a 12-year agreement with Athens, it's important to remember, I know some of the community members have said, well, we want to go out to bid. Unfortunately, the city won't be able to go out to bid for several years. And the reason for that is because we have this agreement in place. And it's going to be, I would say, probably near impossible for us to go out to an agreement, or excuse me, go out to a proposal next week and ask for a company to predict what the fees will be in 12 years from now. They're not going to know what new state regulations are involved, what the landfill conditions will be at that time. So it really doesn't make sense. So staff really does not support terminating the agreement, because we are in we have a strong provider, and we are able now to help protect our residents' interests with the closure of the Pony Hills landfill by maintaining that relationship. City staff does support negotiation of a contract extension with Athens Services, but by doing so, the important thing by doing so is we are able to maintain that relationship and secure some future landfill space for our community. Representatives from Athens came up here this evening and said that they're in negotiations with other landfills to help try and protect that valuable space that we need for our residents. The other option is to accept Athens' proposal. Now, staff really didn't have sufficient time really to examine their proposal and really do a comparison with their communities. Again, it's very difficult just to base on the rates. But just on the initial review, it's very difficult to say that this is the best deal for the city. Knowing that Covina got $2 million and $200,000 a year for a 20-year rolling agreement, city staff's initial impression is that we believe that this is not equitable or fair for the city of West Covina. We also have a concern about the $100,000 annual contribution. Not that that's not very generous, but in 10 years from now, there's no escalators for that $100,000. So some of those programs may have a cost in 10 years that may exceed the monies that in today's dollars will help fund. And so those are one of the other concerns that staff does have. And lastly, the other option is to continue operations as is. This was keep the current 12-year agreement in place and allow the city to keep moving forward with the services of Athens that we've all been very happy with. I try to keep that as briefly as possible. If you have any questions, both myself, city management, and public works are here to answer those.
Does council have any questions at this time? Okay. Does council have any comments? Councilmember Herford.
I'll go first. I think I probably am one of the few people in this room that was here 20 years ago when they started their contract. And let me state first, when I came on the council in 1990, obviously we all put cans out at the curb, and we had unlimited trash pickup. And I remember I actually voted against automated trash because I loved having the ability to put all the trash out that I could. So over the years, I have to say that trash has been an issue that comes up probably 2 or 3 times a year. We've had different councils. I've been in the minority on a lot of those that have taken different positions over the years, and so it's always an interesting subject, and it will continue to be an interesting subject. And I appreciate all the comments from the residents tonight. It's good to have a nice debate that's not personal attacks, or a couple, but for the most part, I appreciate input on both sides. Let me start back 22 years ago when we had the BKK landfill open, and the city was taking in $4 million in revenue every year from the landfill. And of course, there was a big issue in the '94 election, and we closed the landfill. But at that time, the talk, and I think Chris alluded to it a little bit, was that rates were going to go to like $45 a month for residents. And I remember Mike Miller, who was our trash expert at the time, was projecting, what the rates were going to be going out. And of course, it was a horrible scenario. They were going to go higher and higher. And about that time, a little bit before the landfill closed, Athens came into the city. They took over for a hauler that had been fined by the California Highway Patrol, had horrible trucks that came down the street and smoked and dropped oil. And all of a sudden, we had new trucks. We didn't have new trucks right away, but eventually they got new trucks. A lot better service, and then we saw the vision of Athens. They came forward when AB 939 was instituted that said we had to divert our waste from the landfills. And I remember being on the council, and we were all, come on, we're not going to be able to achieve that. That's a very difficult thing, to divert 50% of your trash waste when we're not doing any diversion at this time. But with their MRF facility, they guaranteed us that we would, if we didn't make the 50%, that they would indemnify us. And so that was a big step forward. And along the road, we've seen Athens with technology do things in our community with the trucks and the MRF. and their new composting facility they're going to bring forward, and their ability to handle the commercial and multifamily trash coming forward here, those are all big pluses. And as I think every resident said, and I don't know that there was one that didn't say, the service is excellent. You know, I could count on probably both hands less than 10 people in 22 years that have called me about a complaint with Athens. And when they do call, I call Athens, and they're out there right away to take care of the problem. So they're a good business, and they do a good job. The proposal that's on the table tonight, I've talked at the last few council meetings about how government isn't the same as it used to be. We, you know, have our pockets picked every year by the state of California. We scramble for money where we can. It's an enticing proposal. It would help our general fund reserve, and then it also would help some of the community events. But I want to go to one final comment, and I'll let my colleagues comment, but it was Sue Curcio who made the point. And I thought about it on the way over here tonight. Of all the things that I love about our community, when you go down the street on trash day, you see nice, neat, organized cans that are ready to be picked up. When I go to other communities, it's a mishmash. They've either got 3 or 4 different kinds of cans. They got containers. Some communities still have cans. I mean, we are a beautiful city, and trash day in our city is not an ugly time. We have a great system in the city, and I look back and wonder why I didn't vote for it in the first place. But back then, things were different. So anyway, that's my comments.
Anyone else making comments? Go ahead, Councilmember Sykes, then Councilmember Sotelo.
Well, in that case, I'll let him go.
Councilmember Sotelo.
All right. There was 39 people that spoke tonight. I kept track. Many, like Steve said, many of them all for Athens. Athens does a great job. They're a great contractor. They give a lot back to our community. I'm new on the council, and as you know, we can't just stand and get a new contract next week. It's going to take 12 years, and it's going to be hard to get bids. So that idea is kind of lost. We can't do that. Right now, we have an opportunity to get $2 million revenue for our city. I don't plan on keeping that revenue. I hope we can buy a fire truck and a fire engine with it. That's what I'm looking for, okay? That's what our public safety needs. I'm not going to put that in the coffers. That's what I hope it goes out for. We have a way to help our police department with a SWAT team. We have some of the warm and fuzzy programs that we have here in West Covina. The summer concert series, the 4th of July. They're bringing us together as a community. I think I have with those things, and just what Athens has done for our community. We all say, how do we know it's going to last? Well, you can know it's going to last. You know it's going to stay somewhat what it has because they have a record. They've been doing such a great job for over these years for us. And not to support this tonight and to maybe look forward to another, maybe we can get some more money, squeeze some more money out of them. You know, we might not get any money. Irwindale's not getting any money. And other cities that have contracts with them aren't getting money. They're offering us money tonight. And I have to think we have to take this money. I think we should use this money, and it'll make West Covina a better city for all of us. So at this time, I have to support this contract. Thank you.
Councilmember Sykes.
Thank you, Mayor Tui. You know, I brought this forward just on the basic principle that people put me here. They elected me to protect and assert their interests. Now, at the last city council meeting, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, I spoke about what I saw in this contract. So I'm not going to try to go back over that. I'm hoping that you will go to the video broadcast and review for yourself what I had to say. Now, moving forward from what I had to say at the last meeting, this contract still hasn't garnered a good impression from me. It was that way in '07, and it's even worse now. The Evergreen Clause puts them in the driver's seat in this city forever. The city council doesn't control the how and the when and the cost. We have nothing to say. As a matter of fact, if they are so friendly, when you read what they can do to us when you just try to grow a brain, when you just try to say, wait a minute, I want to explore options. Well, unfortunately, previous council's decisions have laid all the cards in their hands. It is going to be so painful for us to draw down and withdraw from Athens. It is unbelievable that people who were voted into office would yield so much away from what we were put here to do. We were put here to make decisions. We were put here to do the best we could do for the residents, not to give everything over to the company. And right now, if you read the fine print and the details, this is before the 25-year thing comes in. I'm just talking about the 12-year. How we have no say-so. As soon as you say to this company, I want to stop the rolling, I want to stop the evergreen, I want to walk it down for 12 years. Now, I use the term withdrawal because as a deputy sheriff for 33 years, I saw some people who were trying to kick some certain habits, things that were tossed to them by pimps and drug dealers and child molesters. They would entice you. All of them had this thing in common of enticing you, sucking you in. I got something that's going to make you feel so good, you don't ever want to come down. Come here, kid, I got this pretty little puppy for you. Come here, little girl, jump in my ride, and I'm going to take you around the world. And when those folks got hooked, if you ever seen someone withdrawing from heroin, you got to know they are in deep pain. That's the way I look at what's happened to this city. Now, Athens is, hey, the service, fantastic. You know, every time I see the guy who was here today that comes up, I recognize him, truck driver who was here. He's a great guy. He takes care of business at my door. And I appreciate that. But when I look at what I don't have in the way of options, and when I look around the Southern California area, I know the residents can and should have a better deal. Now, I don't want to belabor the point because a lot of folks got up here and they talked about a lot of issues. The thing I want to drive home is that with the power that Athens has over us to make us hurt so deeply, because if we draw down, which it ain't going to happen for a number of reasons. One, it is extremely painful because they can charge us whatever they want to charge. And if it's not for the benevolence of their heart, that means they can sock it to us to no end. Because we, as a council before us, when someone made those decisions, they gave them that kind of power. So there's an option that the city staff failed to bring forward. Because part of the reason, and I talked about this at the last city council meeting, part of the reason I thought we need to explore the details is because the most important caveat for us right now is what Montebello explored. What do we have in the way of legal options? There is a tax there, a tax without our approval. That is illegal, folks. And that is an option that should be explored so that we can avoid some of this loss of transparency that we have with this contract, some of this loss of power that we gave up as a city council, some of the loss of what's happened to the residents, just totally being taken out of the loop. Without the town hall meeting, the residents really have no say-so over what happens with this contract. So the residents are totally out of the loop. So I really think that our best option to get things back on an even keel, I can't say enough positives as far as their astute business operation and the way they work this contract. Mr. Chiapetta and Company, Athens Services, is a strong business company. And I feel bad that our city council wasn't a strong city council so that we could work out a fair deal that it could have been worked out years ago before we got ourselves in this predicament of being totally locked down. And that's for 12 years, where we as a council can't do anything. We're stuck with whatever coaster ride Athens wants to give us. And then now we want to further poison ourselves. We want to take it even deeper. Now we want to go from 12 years to 25 years, and we're wholeheartedly, oh, sock it to me. I want 25 years of this, where they have total control, and I got nothing to say. That's not why the people put me here. They put me here to use my brain, to be fair to the businesses, but also to make sure that I'm fair to the residents and to keep them from getting the shaft. So right now, if we had the attachments, and I know I don't have the support, because that's what it takes to go up against Athens. You got to have some attachments. You got to have some intestinal fortitude to try to stand up, because they will punish you. Everybody on this council has gotten money from them, including me. That's undue influence over who gets elected. The citizens can't even elect the people that they want without the approval of Athens. Everybody up here that's sitting on this city council got U.S. money from Athens. I gave mine back. 33 years of being a law enforcement officer, and when my wife and some of my friends looked me in the eye and said, "Is that you? Is that you?" You've studied this thing, and you know that that's the taxpayers' dollars that's been converted. And you're scooping up this money. They didn't give you approval. They didn't write you a check. That's their money. They're being overcharged. That allows Athens to easily offer other cities a sweet deal compared to ours. That allows them to expand quite easily throughout the valley, because we help pay for it. Campaign contributions, all different directions. We help pay for that. I say we because I live here and I pay the bill. I gave that money back. That undue influence. Undue influence. It is too powerful. We've lost control as a city council. We gave up what the residents had in the way of options and choices. They're totally out of the loop. Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to clarify this for the record. I don't believe what you stated on the franchise fee is the reason for the Montebello case. It was that Montebello collects the money, then passes it on. I believe that's the gist of the lawsuit. I believe you're far off there, number one. Number two, in fairness, and I understand you're very passionate with your comments, you gave back the money, first of all, personal convictions, if that were your feelings.
I'm sorry?
If those were your convictions and your personal feelings, you wouldn't have taken the check to start off with. Just because you returned it a month later, you can argue that point, but you took it. See, we have Ziad al-Hassan that we've been fighting with, and I won't take his money. I think that's a far difference in personal conviction. Okay, not this give it back after it was brought up at the council meeting that you took it. And then you were out of town. In fact, you were in Sacramento, and that's when it was brought up. Well, no question, I'm telling the truth. And that's when you got put on the carpet. But I'm saying, again, I teach my kids convictions. If it's something wrong, don't do it to start off with. But we will always disagree on that. On the trash overall, when you look at the rates, I think it's ironic that just looking at the rates, that they're in the middle. Less, even below the middle right now, where our rates are. You heard to do our MRF back in 1998, the city knew at that time they were going to start 24% higher to MRF. That is environmentally better. Is it more costly? Absolutely. All the cities that have 3-can systems take the black can or whatever color their main waste may be directly to the landfill. That means that's not being recycled. That is less, in my mind, sensitive to the earth and a carbon footprint. Some people brought up Hacienda Heights. Well, I grew up in Hacienda Heights. Okay, we had 8 to 10 trash trucks from different companies that picked up trash on different days. Now, some of you may like that system. To having trash in front of your home every day, maybe not your home, maybe it was your neighbor's because he had a different company. We had Griffith Disposal. I don't even know who that is anymore. It may be Athens. I couldn't tell you. It was a long time ago. But everyone had different trash trucks. The City of Los Angeles, the County of Los Angeles, everyone's going to exclusive territories. No one has wide open Wild West stuff anywhere. That's not the case. The City of Los Angeles is having this discussion, I think, creating 14 districts. If they currently have, I think, 38 or 40 haulers, they're going down to 14. They're one of the last ones. The County of Los Angeles has been dividing up their territory, giving this out. territories like this, and it's all because of reporting purposes for AB 939. That's the gist of it. When you have a lot of companies hauling trash, your figures will not be correct, and someone's liable for it. We've had up until now Athens, who's 100% liable if we don't meet our diversion goal, and the fine is $10,000 a day. So to me, that is pretty severe. I think the numbers don't lie. There's a reason why we were one of the first cities in the state of California to meet our diversion goal, and we're still one of the highest cities in the state of California at our diversion goal. I know Fred has attended, we weren't at the same meetings, but the meetings the Sand District has put out or put on, the Sand District and the Puente Hills landfill is closing. The County of Los Angeles has voted 5-0. It will not open. It will not continue past its guaranteed date it gave its residents that live in and around the landfill. That will have trash over the next 5 years will be the most different we've ever seen. And you're already seeing it in cities that have had to institute, I believe it's AB 341, which is the commercial one, where you have to have 2 bins now at commercial businesses, the food processing and apartments. That's a brand new Athens cities that have Murphy don't have to do it. We were exempted in state law. The other cities have to. Other cities charge an additional $50 fee for the second bin. Okay, that's for commercial. At the Sand District, which we all rotate serving on the board of directors at the Sand District, we just built a $100 million MRF facility there, and we're building another $100 million rail facility. The rail facility currently, even though you paid for it, doesn't have any trash to take to it. It's a unique problem because most of the haulers own their own landfills, and they don't participate in the county program, so they can control the cost. And I think that was brought up, what the price of trash is going to be in the future, because private companies own the landfills. Once the largest landfill in the United States closes down, the private companies, Waste Management, Consolidated, own their own landfills. But a lot of times they aren't even, companies operate their landfills in San Bernardino County. I know all this stuff is going out to bid on who's going to operate them. We happen to, because of the volume of trash Athens has, I was at the Sand District when they were given a favorite nation clause at the Sand District because they're the largest customer. And when Athens wasn't dumping there, their landfills basically ceased to exist. They weren't getting the trash. This is a major issue over the next 5 years. What will happen with trash? What will happen with green waste? And as long as you have companies you're involved with investing in the future, it's kind of hard to punish them and say, no, don't buy that green waste facility today. Wait till you absolutely need it. We don't do that at our home. That is not how you do it. The clawback provision that Councilmember Sykes is talking about are in a lot of agreements regular citizens do each and every day. If you've ever leased a car, it has a clawback provision. If you don't fulfill your lease agreement, there's things they can charge you. People do it each and every day, whether they understand it or not. Normally when you get loans, they have clawback provisions in loans, that if you refinance this too soon or prepay the loan, there's a prepayment penalty. I was not on the council when that contract was done in 2004. In fact, 3 of us were not. Roger, I believe, called the contract due. Councilmember Hernandez at that time, Assemblyman Hernandez now. And when those rates were discounted to our multifamily ratepayers, it created an issue there. And I'm saying the facts are the facts there. The money's owed. I do look at all the money that's being offered. We have to take that into account. All of our companies, so you guys understand, the utilities, the cable company, all collect franchise fees from you and give it to us. If you look at your cable bill, it will say franchise fee right on it. The only reason it says it on your Athens bill is something I asked to do, so you knew that Athens, since we pay one of the larger franchise fees in the valley, it was separated out, so it wasn't punishing them, saying it was their rate. It's actually the money that's passed through to the city. I believe the actual rate for residential service is $24.44 a month if you have 190 green, 190 black. The difference are city fees that we put on top of it. On top of that fee, we collect an additional $70,000, which I've never seen in all the reports what it's actually for. It's just something Mike Miller put in at the time. He was Environmental Service Director. I believe it was 50 then, but it's gone up to 70 that we collect now. So on top of all these fees, we collect $1.4 million a year in franchise fees. They're offering $100,000 a year for community events, $70,000 a year they're required to pay because of their contract and the other things that we get from them. I think the total for the life of the contract is a $43 million offer on the table for the city of West Covina, and that to me is considerable. I understand the upfront money from them is $2 million, and that to me can go to a lot of things in our city. And at this point in time, with that clawback provision, if we cancel the contract tonight, your rates are going up by law, by contract. So you will pay more for 12 years, a contract that was negotiated previous. It's in the contract. That's why Fred said we couldn't do nothing. It's there. Staff does review the rates, by the way. That was said. That's not true. Staff does review the rates where they have to justify their CPI increases. We get to see their cost. Staff gets to look at it. It just doesn't come to us. But our staff members, our professional staff members in our finance department review the numbers. The only difference is it doesn't come to us. The same people were the ones reviewing it in the past. It's so, I just respectfully disagree, Fred. I know you're very passionate about this, and I know we've talked on a number of issues, but I think that good services do get rewarded in life. I will not switch my doctor. He's doing an outstanding job. And, well, I'm not. He is. So he complains about me every day. So, but I'm seeing a lot of the services we deal with are relationship based on the quality of the service that someone provides. And I said this last time. I just don't put my gardening guy out for bid every year. I am so pleased with the service he provides. I want that extra service. So that's it. Anyone else have comments, or do we have a motion one way or the other way?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to adopt.
Hold on one second. He has the floor, then I'll give it back to you, sir.
Make a motion to adopt the amendment number 9 to the amended and restated agreement between the City of West Covina and Aracelian Enterprises doing business as Athens Services for the collection of solid waste, recyclables, yard waste, and other compostables.
Okay, Councilmember Sykes.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, you would need a second before you can even have a discussion on the motion. So.
I don't know if he was talking on the motion yet. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Thank you. I do understand. Yes, Councilmember Sykes.
Yes, on that personal note, I am not perfect, but I do know when I see something that I think is inappropriate, and I try to act when I do see that. And I recycle at my home. Me and my wife, it's just me and my wife now. My children are, one's at college and the other's on his own. And I know that they get very minimum from my home. And so the bottom line is education. I'm sure that with a city that could be educated, there are some hurdles that we would have to overcome when it comes to decreasing our trash. I know we could do that. And I just simply believe that this is not the best for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. And the one other thing I forgot to mention, we do have 1/5 of all of our waste stream dumped at the landfill is renegade trash, which is people dumping trash, saying they're from West Covina, but did not. It goes against our AB 939. 1/5 of all of our trash dumped at the landfill is renegade trash where the source is unknown, where it's coming from, which punishes the residents. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
3-1. We drop down to the next item on the agenda. Nationwide Environmental Services, our street sweeping company. Mr. City Manager.
Mr. Yahtzee will do a brief report.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the City Council. Nationwide Services has been providing street sweeping for the city since 2002. The current contract is for a 7-year rolling agreement and provides for automatic CPI, and landfill tipping fee increases.
You want to wait a second?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
That's okay, whatever. Go ahead, sir.
Nationwide just recently made an offer to freeze the CPI increases for 2 years and also provide additional sweeping services at intersections and center medians for the city. The savings to the city will depend on the future CPI adjustments, but could range from about $35,000 to $70,000 over the 2 years. However, these savings would compound over future years and result in future estimated savings between $300,000 and $500,000. In exchange, Nationwide is asking that the 7-year rolling contract be extended to 15 years. The staff report does note possible additional savings by having Nationwide dump the sweepers at the city yard, but it appears that this option probably is not feasible. Comparisons with our rates of other cities in the area show that the rate that the city is now paying is still at the low end of the spectrum. We measured those rates in curb miles of sweeping done. The city's paying about $19 per curb mile. Other nationwide cities are paying between $17 to $28 a curb mile. And if you look at other cities in the San Gabriel Valley, they're paying those same rates, but up to $38 a curb mile. No general funds are used for sweeping as it is funded by the Restricted Sewer Assessment Fund. Tonight, staff is asking the City Council for direction on this issue, and the 3 alternatives listed in your staff report would be to accept the proposal as submitted by Nationwide, or provide staff direction to negotiate further with the contractor, or to reject the proposal outright. And with that, I'll ask if there's any questions.
Does council have any questions of staff? Seeing none, do I have council member comments? Do I have a motion? Oh, Councilmember Sykes.
Just like the contract before, Mr. Yahtzee, it's a rolling situation.
That's
correct?
Yes.
Meaning that every year it's an automatic renewal.
We currently have a 7-year rolling contract. They're asking to increase that to 15.
And so if we saw, again, that we wanted an option for whatever reason, we wanted to have an open bid, we couldn't for 15 years, right? And that's if we just started a drawdown from the evergreen clause.
That's correct.
Thank you. So I won't support this these contractors with this evergreen situation. I just think that it's, again, I know that it's not the best for the residents. Thank you.
Do I have any other council member comments?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just state I think that Nationwide's doing an excellent job, and I think the additional revenue can help, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second, but I got a question for staff. I've never really heard any complaints at all about Nationwide. Is there any major complaints or anything, or?
No, the complaints that we get are very, very few. They do a good job. They actually have provided us GPS tracking system on their sweepers so that we can check their speeds to make sure they're within the proper speeds of the contract. My staff can do that from their desk. My staff go out there and visually check up on them from time to time. And they've been pretty good about taking care of any issues we have.
Thank you.
Likewise, I think these provide us cost savings long-term, because obviously we're getting a freeze on the rates. So to me, this helps, just like I believe in the previous contract, will help the taxpayers in the end over the most volatile time, because likewise all the trash collected by the street sweeper is dumped also. It goes to landfill too. I have no problem supporting the contract also. Do I have a motion and a second when you guys did that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
311, and the other one was 311. We recess the City Council meeting at 10:02 to convene the successor meeting. Madam City Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Tui,
Aye, or here, whatever.
Vice Chairman Sanderson, Board Member Herford.
Here.
Board Member Sotelo. Board Member Sykes.
Here.
Changes to the agenda?
I have no changes.
Do we have any oral communications for the successor agency? No cards have been filled out. Seeing no one jumping up, we drop down the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I second that motion.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Passes 401. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 10:03. Great job, guys. That was a 1-minute meeting. To reconvene the City Council meeting. Does anyone have any AB 1, 2, 3, 4 conference and meeting reports that they need to report? Council members' request report studies or investigations was brought up earlier. Councilmember Sotelo has a request to do a report summarizing the process to implement City Council term limits. Councilmember Sotelo.
Yes, at this time I'd like staff, if we could have a report on term limits and show what other cities have and what's around us. And I just want to know a little bit more about term limits. If you're going to come back next month with a report, in different cities and what they have. And can we vote? Can we implement our own term limits, or does it have to be voted on by our residents?
Do we have any answers for him today?
Well, I think that's part of the process. What we'll do is, this is what we've in the past historically called Mother May I report.
Right.
This is a request for a study. So what we'll do is, city staff, based on your comments this evening, if council supports it moving forward, our office, with the support of the city clerk's office, city manager's office, will help obtain information from other cities and what the guidelines are for moving forward on this project.
And should he be asking for how many terms he wants now, or will that be done at the time?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, what I would take this request is for staff to go back, and my office to go back and review and research the issue, so I don't think you need to designate how many terms.
No problem. Go ahead. Rob, do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion that this goes back to staff, and we can
Bringing it to the next
bring
council meeting?
next council meeting, please.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Was that an aye? That was a 401 funny one. Okay, council member comments or adjournments? We have no comments. Tonight, I would like to adjourn our meeting in memory of the following individuals. Michael Schott, father of our West Covina Public Works employee Mike Schott, and Adele Hamill, mother of our Public Works employee Bruce Hamill. Our thoughts and prayers go out to each of these families at this difficult time. If we could also adjourn the meeting in memory of Cheryl Ortiz, who's a council member, Manuel Ortiz from the city of Irwindale's wife who passed away, and the former mayor of Irwindale, Larry Barola, his wife Barbara Barola, passed away all in 1 week. Irwindale, which is a very small city, lost two longtime council members and spouses there. So we can adjourn the meeting in memory of those four individuals. Hold on, Councilman.
Before you close the meeting, I do have an item after.
Go ahead, because I don't want to do that after the adjournment.
I was just checking with staff on the time to conduct the survey, and we'd like another a couple meetings to come back, if that's acceptable to the maker of the motion.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's on his issue. If there's nothing else, do I have a motion and a second for the
Mr.
adjournment?
Mayor, we had residents speak on having the meeting on election night. Do we want to discuss that? Do we have business or?
Right now, we're flexible on that business, so they can be carried over.
Council meeting on November the 6th, or can we adjourn? Can I agendize an item that came up since the posting of the agenda? Can I ask for it to be?
We would need to, well, it came up tonight, that's correct, and there would be an immediate need, so under the government code, you can, with a unanimous vote of the members here, add a matter as a subsequent need item, and then deal with the item. So as I understand, you want to discuss whether or not to have a meeting on November 6th.
I would like that to be agendized, if that's okay with our council members. I need a, can I have a motion to approve that?
Make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
I second it.
Okay, moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That has been agendized for action. I'd like to make a motion to not have the meeting on November 6th and go to the next regularly scheduled meeting, which I believe is November 20th, which is our council reorganization meeting, and not have it due to the election. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, can we do the adjournment? We've had the adjournment of motion and a second. Can we adjourn in memory of those 4 individuals and send our condolences to the families? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. 10:09.